Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
Today is day 1 of 2. On Wednesday, we will be having part 2 of our season predictions episodes. It used to be 1 episode. It is now episodes. We're going to be breaking down the division winners, team over-under win totals, and the Wednesday episode is going to be the awards season predictions. There's just a lot of predictions going around, so much so we had to break it up into 2 episodes. So this is officially the first week of 2 Baseball's Dead's going back to 2 episodes a week.
That's right. Heavy diction pod today. Heavy diction pod.
It's been a long off season. It has been a long off season. Thank you guys. Thank you. Too kind. One of the nicest audiences in professional podcasting. Jayhay, are you ready? Are you ready for 2 episodes a week? Is that something that, like, you know, it's almost when was the last time that you were doing 2 episodes a week? 2020?
Yeah. It would have been first half of 2020.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on. It'll have been almost 3 years, just shy of 3 years.
Time to dust off those dancing shoes and get ready to tap, my friend.
Yeah.
I think my pipes are ready. I'm ready for the regular season content. I can tell you that much. That's when the stats come alive. And that's obviously the meat and potatoes of what I'm here for. So
I feel like that's probably one of the first things that we're going to have to be better about. I mean, it feels like we've been here for longer than 1 season. This doesn't feel like year 2 at DraftKings. But I feel like we need to. One of the things that Jayhay brought to the table in the starting 9 days was regimen and structure. Whereas, like last year, we were kind of just like, all right, hit record. We have a vague idea of what we want to talk about, and then we'll just go and just have these like conversations.
Fuck all that.
I'm not saying that we need more structure.
I'm
not saying no. Listen. I'm not saying that we need more structure. I am saying that we need segments. Bitches love segments. So we're going to be bringing a segment and building it around Jayhay's Nugs. It's a fan favorite. They've been clamoring for it.
That's just good fucking producing.
It's great producing, and it's also just it's a sponsorship opportunity. Let's get Jayhay riding a fucking Cadillac this season. So we're gonna get Jayhay's Nugs sponsored. That would be something, because we could also probably turn that into like a video segment as well. We need to get Jayhay on. Imagine Jayhay on camera, like digital content superstar Justin Havens.
With that fucking haircut, absolutely, I can imagine it.
I'll shave for that podcast.
Yeah. Joseph, if you had, let's brainstorm live right now. If you had your own set, because I feel like it would be like Joey's like weird facts. Like Joey, when he does research for his videos on YouTube, baseball doesn't exist. Like, subscribe, comment. There's got to be information that gets left on the cutting room floor. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, I got 22 pages of notes on the next video. So if you think you can fit that in 15 minutes, you're wrong. So we could just read off that for the first hour if you want.
Joey's cutting room floor. I kind of like that. The cutting room floor with Joey.
The butcher shop with Joe.
Yeah. Yes, because I mean, watching Joey's videos, it's always like I make reference to him tipping his pitches, which he does do. What tweet did you just throw out where you kind of like were trying to crowdsource information, which obviously was for your next video?
Yeah, if there was any like weird
pitch violations. Yeah. So I can't even imagine what the next video is going to be about.
You never know.
Yeah. So sometimes he makes it too easy with what is going to be the next video. But then like I said, have to imagine that there's a lot of information that you're gathering in the process for creating your next video that never sees the light of day. Let's have it see the light of day, Joe. That's all I'm saying.
We can. I got one right now. The first pitch clock violation of all time. Any guesses?
Manny Machado.
No.
Oh,
of all time.
Ben Verlander.
No. No, he stole valor.
I thought, doesn't he claim that?
I think he did claim that. I don't believe that was true. Well, he might have got it in the minor leagues. They've been implementing this shit in and out forever. But 2014, it was freaking
Matt Latos.
Nope, it was Mark Appel versus
Oh,
Jesse Winkler, Arizona Fall League. I'm still trying to find video of it. Anyone?
did you throw an L in Jesse Winker?
He did. It's Winker. Winkler is his cousin.
That's all right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Downgraded third baseman.
Like I said, 22 pages of notes. You can't remember all the names, guys. Impossible.
It's a lot of information.
So that's the most egregious pitch clock violation.
No, the first.
That's the first.
Oh, the first.
Yeah.
The first.
If anyone can find a video of that, please.
Yeah. No, see, like that's the thing is because I've told you the story about me setting a Cal League record for punching two guys out in the same inning, only throwing 4 pitches. And that's because there were pitch clock violations in back-to-back at bats that then resulted in mass ejections for the other team that left their fucking athletic trainer as the manager to finish.
Well, what year was that?
Yeah. That was something.
Okay, well, then I was way off. What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So Ben Verlander, that's cute. It's not true. And then this other one, the Latos, that's or not Latos, but Appel.
Yeah.
That's not. Yeah. So
Dallas, speaking of mass ejections, how excited are you for opening day in Oakland? Woo!
I'm fucking jazzed, baby. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
How are you not jazzed? We got the fucking mountain of a left-hander on the bump.
Yeah.
Kyle Muller ready to mow motherfuckers down.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We're talking 95 plus from the left side.
Big Molly.
With fucking benders and slid throws and combios. Work in progress. We're getting there, baby.
Sure.
I am fucking pumped.
You guys open at home this year?
Open at home. Got the Halos in town. Yeah. I mean, look, I said this last year with our roster. There's a lot of dudes who are in a position to take the next step. And obviously there's a lot of guys who are in a position to try to learn and earn a spot at the big league level. And when you know where your team is at, you understand what your roster looks like.
In your
as
opinion,
a fan,
in your
you're
personal
excited
assessment
about what I just said.
Where are they at?
I just told you where they're at.
Just like, it's a new season. Anything can happen.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think so. Baseball fans, America's pastime is back. Step up to the plate for some season opener action with the DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. Right now, new customers can place a $5 pregame moneyline bet and get $150 in bonus bets if their team wins. Talk about hitting it out of the park. Plus, everyone, and that means everyone, can get in on the Major League action with a no-sweat bet from DraftKings. Opt in, and if your first bet doesn't win, don't sweat it. You'll get a bonus bet back up to $10. I might throw a money line bet on the A's on opening day.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad bet. Wouldn't be a bad bet. I mean, you take a look at some of the division options as well.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's only 2 teams right now that have the odds stacked against them the way that the A's do. There's only one other team, and that's the Nationals, according to the DK Sportsbook. Talking about plus 25.
The most succinct way we can describe the athletics division chances are that there are 5 teams in the division.
All right,
I don't know why we're attacking the Oakland Athletics this morning. I don't know.
We're not.
Kind of feels that way.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code Jared, Jared. New customers can bet just $5 on any pregame money line and get $150 in bonus bets if their team wins. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook, promo code Jared, Jared. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes for details. Okay. I like where we're at right now. Good vibes, good energy. Baseball's back. Opening day on Thursday. Everyone's playing. Jake, do you have anything you want to say on this first podcast of the 2023 baseball season?
First of all, I'll just start out with Go Sox. yeah, I think a lot of people are feeling the same way. But yeah, just ready to go and make some of these division predictions.
Yeah, this is going to be great. So Jake's going to be leading the charge here with the division over/under totals, division predictions, and we're gonna fill out a whole little postseason bracket, which surely is going to age well. That's every single prediction that's made in March usually holds up by October. So we're going to be making those predictions, and then again the season awards, because I know people were asking about it on Twitter. Like someone said, like, did I miss it? No. It's always the week leading in, and we're going to be making the awards predictions on the Wednesday podcast. Just because the season doesn't start until Thursday doesn't mean that you don't get 2 episodes this week. You're going to get 2 episodes this week. So without further ado, shall we?
Yeah, so shout out to DK Sportsbook. They put together a little one sheet for us. We got all the odds for each division, odds to win each league, American and National, and odds to win the World Series. So I think the way it works is they're ranked by percentage of handle, which means basically, for example, the AL West, the Oakland A's are plus 25,000, and they are ranked 5th at 2% of handle. So that means 2% of everyone who's bet on the AL West has taken the A's to win the division, which is last. So I think let's go ahead and start with the AL West.
Let's start with the AL West.
Sure. It's a good place to start.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm not going to start.
Okay.
I mean, I could start. I'll say this. This division, you don't just hand this division to the Astros.
Okay. Yeah, you do.
You don't just hand this division to the Astros.
I'm going to go ahead and hand the division to the Astros. I am.
I know that's the easy thing to do. That's the easy thing to do, right? That's the lazy thing to do, in my opinion. Because this prediction thing could just, yeah, okay, they want to and just move on. They're not the same team. They're not the same team. They're not the same roster.
They might be better.
And why? Why? I don't know if they're better. Why can't the Mariners make any noise? Why can't the Angels make any noise? Why can't the Rangers make any noise? We're just handing this division to the Houston Astros once again. I'm not saying that that's not something that can be done. I would like to hear arguments in the place of that decision making, as opposed to just lazily saying, yeah, Astros, next question. Because I think there's an opportunity for some teams to make some noise.
Well, so I guess the first thing that you would probably point out is they don't have Justin Verlander anymore, but like, doesn't a guy like Christian Javier just slide right in and say he might be better? Like he might be better than the reigning Cy Young Award winner. Or he has the potential to be.
That's an extremely aggressive statement to make.
I don't know. I don't know that that's true. I think the whole thing with Javier is you're not going to get the same workload. Like, you're not going to get the same innings total that you would get from a Justin Verlander, but like pound for pound.
Well, no, that matters. That matters a whole hell of a lot, my friend, because the trickle down effect, right? Because now guys that you're not relying on in certain spots in the bullpen are being relied on, and bullpens
they have a great bullpen too.
No doubt. But the idea is you're great for certain reasons in certain years, right? And if you have a starting staff that's been dynamic and is holding water, doing all the dirty work per se, now the guys in the bullpen,
you know, it's a little something about holding water.
The pressure, maybe not as great, but now you take some of those starters out. You take some of the length of their work out, and that workload gets applied to the bullpen. And now they're asked to just do a little more, and the workload's greater, and how that bears out changes. So this is me. Like I said, is it obvious that the Houston Astros are the power in the division? Sure. But what I'm saying is there's no reason to just hand it to them right away if you're being honest in the assessment of what other teams you think are capable of doing.
I think there's a world where the Mariners can win this division. I mean, I buy into that. I think I'm in agreement, certainly, that the Astros are the favorite, and for good reason. Yeah. But like, if you're trying to craft an argument for the Mariners, I think it begins with, steps forward from both George Kirby and Logan Gilbert relative to what they brought last season, and Jared Kelenic. Like, I think it kind of is distilled just down to that, because the Mariners received a lot of quantity out of their rotation last year. So I don't think you can expect they're going to get the third most innings out of their starting rotation again. But if they can get kind of development from Kirby and Gilbert and a more consistent season from Robbie Ray, and all the reports about Robbie Ray's velocity, which seems to coincide really well with the success that he has in a given season, are very positive from spring. And, offensively, I think that's the huge differentiator between the Mariners on paper and the Astros on paper. And that's why Kelenic, who again has also had a really encouraging spring, is kind of the gap, the guy who can maybe bridge a little bit of that gap.
Yeah, bridge the gap for sure. I'm not going to put the responsibility on Kelenic just because of the fluctuation in performance that we've seen from him. I mean, this was a
It's not
world
even that
beater.
fluctuating. He's just sucked.
Well, that's what I was going to say. He was a world beater and then got here and got beaten by the world and had to go back down and figure things out. And you're starting to make those, adjustments. I'm just saying, and look at the lineup for the Mariners. I mean, they've got guys. You add in fucking guy from Toronto, Teoscar, right?
Teoscar Hernandez, which I still don't understand that trade, by the way. I really don't.
But you got now you've got.
Yeah.
You got think about their 2 through 4, 2 through 5, maybe even 2 through 6 in Seattle with J-Rod, Teoscar, Suarez, Ty France, the fucking catcher, Cal Raleigh. they've got guys that can make fucking noise, man. So and they got guys that can put the bat on the ball as well. So those turn into run scoring opportunities. More. So it should, and then the rotation with Castillo,
JP
Gilbert,
Crawford.
Ray. I think that the Mariners are quietly climbing the ladder.
Sure. I mean, I've got them making the playoffs, but I cannot entertain a conversation where they win the division over the Astros. Several players have to die for that to happen.
I don't think it's that bad.
It's that bad. I'm not saying the Mariners are bad. I have the Mariners making the playoffs. So this is not a disrespect to the Mariners. I think if you're a Seattle Mariners fan listening to this podcast, even they're being like, Dallas, come on. Come on. We're just happy to get in if we get in. I don't think so.
The
goal for the Mariners is to take us. I think, and we'll get to the win total stuff. I think the goal, if you're a Mariners fan, is to be better than you were last year, which I think that's possible. I think that they could definitely be better than they were last year, but they landed in the playoffs last year. You can still make improvements, but where you are in the wild card standings is probably the goal versus let's take down the Houston Astros. That's a little overzealous, a little ambitious at this point. Not to say that it can't find its level eventually, but I think it's too soon for that conversation.
You got. Let's ask this question this way, and I feel like
that's
we're
a
already
question, bro.
Getting a little deep in the division thing here. Angels, Mariners. Who do you have finishing ahead there?
So now you're making me tip my hand even more, Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
But I got the Angels making the playoffs too.
So if you've got the Angels making the playoffs, you've got the Mariners making the playoffs, you've got the Astros making the playoffs. There's only spots for 2 more teams, Jared, and we've got 2 more divisions.
Yeah. There's only a spot for 1 more wild card.
Right. Those are 3 teams.
Let's
the wild
go
cards.
Red Sox. Let's go Red Sox. Let's go Red Sox.
Go Red Sox.
I know we dump on the Angels, but I look at this rotation and I do see a lot of potential breakout here beyond Ohtani. Patrick Sandoval was already really good in the second half of last season. Tyler Anderson had a sub-3 ERA over the course of an entire campaign last year, and there was nothing about it that suggests it was about his changeup, and that pitch still exists for him. And Reed Detmers was a lot better over his final dozen or so starts than he was through the first 2 or 3 months of the season. So I think these are all playoff teams. And if we're talking about the DK odds, I think the stuff that Jake sent around had the Angels at plus 750 to win the division. I think that's one of the sneaky best bets that you could have if you're looking for a little bit of a long shot option.
Well, and that's exactly why I was looking at the Seattle Mariners for that same exact
For
reason.
sure. The only difference is that the Angels odds are twice as bad.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say let's pull it up. Hold on. The Yeah, the Mariners are plus 320 to win the division, it looks like, and the Angels are plus 750. Like, I don't see that level of gap between those two rosters to suggest
between
that
the two
Angels
teams. I mean,
are
well,
half as likely to win.
especially with
basically.
especially with the Mariners and the Angels slated to finish right behind each other, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you talk about the size and gap between the odds there, I mean, literally over double the odds.
The scary thing about the Angels is they are one injury away from just being like a 60 win team. God forbid Shohei goes down, but even if he doesn't, like Trout or even like Rendon has one of the years that he's been having, like that's all major red flags.
Well, see, and that's where that's definitely a glass half empty outlook. Think about if the glass were to stay half full, where Rendon doesn't go down, and now he performs for the first time like they've expected him to in the last 4 years. Ohtani doesn't get hurt, and he just keeps doing Ohtani shit. Same thing for Trout. But now you've got a long list of other guys in this lineup that can make a fucking impact.
Yeah, I would say that
Taylor Ward,
Yeah.
have people forgot what fucking Taylor Ward is all about?
he got hot.
Taylor Ward was one of the best performers in the first half last year.
MVP of April.
Period. He got hurt. He got hurt in a game against the A's, ran into the fucking wall and hit his head. Boom. And that fucked him up. Shit changed for but yeah, I mean, I think the division, and maybe this is me wanting it to be this way, wanting it to be more competitive than just handing it to the Astros. But I have a lot of optimism surrounding those two clubs right there, the Angels and the Mariners.
What about the?
I do think.
Sorry, Jay. What did you say?
No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, like you were saying, I mean, the Angels have always been the team that has a good upside just because of their star power. The difference this year is I think their rotation has a lot more upside this year than they have ever had recently, at least.
Yes, their rotation does have more upside, and that's where you're going to need some help from the bullpen is to win some of those either tight games or a game where shit goes south early from the rotation. Do you have the horsepower? Do you have the depth in the bullpen to get through a game where you got to cover fucking 12 outs?
I agree. I think I'm with Jared or close to Jared on the Christian Javier thing. Like, I don't think I could be any higher on him entering this season and what it could look like at the end of the year. But I do think it's fair to say that the Astros rotation is a little bit more predicated on breakouts that we anticipate happening than it has in previous seasons. Like, Christian Javier may end up being as good as Justin Verlander, but Justin Verlander's placement at the top of that rotation locked in a certain level of excellence for the rotation as a whole. And while, again, Framber Valdez, Christian Javier are Cy Young candidates, I do think like the Luis Garcia, Hunter Brown portion of the rotation does leave them a little bit more, slightly more vulnerable than they have been in past seasons. And then the one thing that we haven't mentioned is the Jose Altuve injury, which, like, I get it. He's going to play this season and play most of the year, but there is a window here at the start of the season for the first, what is it, month and a half before he's back on the field again, 2 months maybe, where I think they are a little bit more David Hensley manning second base. Like, he's not Jose Altuve, with all respect to Mr. Hensley.
No, I'm just telling you, man, the depth and everything that makes the Astros super sexy year in, year out has slowly been chipped away at. It's not like a wholesale overhaul of this club, not at all. But I can tell you, and I can speak firsthand to what it's like to have a guy like Verlander headlining a rotation and what that does for everybody else behind him. Because now with Verlander there, you're looking at Framber as a 2, Javier as a 3. And you're okay with rolling Urquidy and Garcia out to round out the back end of the rotation. Now, everybody has slotted up 1. And what you guys are talking about is heavily reliant upon these dudes taking that next step, graduating into that upper echelon of arm. And if that doesn't happen, what does that look like? And that's where I think if the Angels and the Mariners can play anywhere near to their expectations, this division looks a hell of a lot closer.
We'll
What about the fucking Rangers? We're just going to forget about. They have no chance at all.
They've been completely forgotten about. They have been completely shit on.
I don't think
this
that
entire conversation.
Yeah, like No,
And
to
they
answer
are-
your
they are-
question, they don't have a chance. I know they don't. And I think that adding Nathan Eovaldi, Jacob deGrom, it's like I can respect the effort where you spend one offseason going up the middle, adding Seager and Semien, and then the next offseason you add Eovaldi and deGrom. With all those moves being made, does that still keep them out of the conversation of the Houston Astros, Seattle Mariners? Yeah, they're still not there yet for me.
Well, because if you're going to have the conversation that you just had with the Astros regarding their pitchers and the need for them to step up to really like eliminate any thought of another team creeping on them, the same thing can be said for the Texas Rangers, because if you lose a DeGrom, like you know you're going to at some point this year, and Eovaldi could potentially go, well, then what does that rotation look like now?
And that's the difference, right, between the Rangers rotation and a couple of these other rotations that we talked about, where, you know, some of the Mariners and Astros success is predicated on young pitchers taking that next step or continuing to be available. The Rangers, it's like, are these guys going to be ambulatory? Are they going to be available? Because they're all veteran guys, right? So you've got DeGrom's stuff is well known, but like Eovaldi has missed time. Andrew Heaney's availability has been on and off throughout the years, although he's been hit. The missing bats portion of Andrew Heaney's career has been fascinating to see, where he allows like 4 home runs and strikes out 12 in 6 innings. But I just think the offense is way, way behind, namely the Astros, but also several others in the division. There are just gaping holes in the bottom half of this, unless you consider like Jonah Heim and Robbie Grossman and Brad Miller and Bubba Thompson to be acceptable starting players. And if your goal is to win the division, which is kind of what we're talking about here, then I don't think they have any shot at all. I will say all of the data suggests that there may not be a single player who's going to benefit more from the elimination of the shift than Corey Seager, who I think could be, you know, when you look at pulled batted balls, pulled balls on the ground, what he hit on those, the quantity of balls that he hit in that direction, like he's just inevitably going to see a nice bump. I just don't think that's going to be anywhere near enough.
Yeah. I also think that the starting point matters in terms of adding DeGrom, adding Eovaldi. Like the first team that popped into my head was the Baltimore Orioles. I think if the Baltimore Orioles signed Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi this past offseason, no, we're not having a conversation about the Orioles winning the division or maybe making it to the postseason. But I think we're having a conversation where it's like, hey, this team took a big step forward last year. And how do they supplement that? They fucking added Nathan Eovaldi and Jacob deGrom. Like there's more optimism there. With the Rangers, it's like,
well, those are moves to get you back to sea level. Almost.
Yeah, like with the Rangers, you're adding these guys. Like, yes, it's exciting. Like, yes, I can appreciate the effort from ownership to add studs, but you're strapping a rocket to what? To get to where? Like it just it doesn't get them to a point where now you're having a serious conversation about them being contenders.
I do think all of those pitchers after DeGrom are better than people think they are. Like casually think. John Gray's better than people think he is. Heaney's been better than people think. Martin Perez was awesome last year.
Yes, he was.
So I think the rotation's sneaky good. Like it may still be the 4th best in the division, depending on availability, but there's a lot of really good rotations in the AL West. I think that's one of my takeaways from looking at this is old, young.
Well, and that's where, that's where again, I'm not so ignorant as to deny what is obvious with the Houston Astros. My whole argument for this division has just been, let's not just hand it to them and move on. Let's do what we did and let's have this discussion. That's all I was after. So it feels like we have flushed out this division and the potentiality for it. And I just wanted I wanted fans of other teams to hear that and not us just lazily hand it to the fucking Stros and then ask the next
one.
question.
Sounds like we flushed out the division. We talked about every meaningful team, everything in the division, and we're just ready to move on. We covered all the bases in the West.
Can't imagine why you're left on red, you fucking cocksucker.
Before we move on, does anyone have the Angels making the playoffs besides me? Joey?
Yeah.
Jayhay, let's go! All right.
Shoutout, honey.
I am very excited for
That's
that conversation. That's gonna be an ongoing, I think, narrative or storyline. Is coming off the World Baseball Classic, seeing Mike Trout, seeing get all these experienced big moments in the World Baseball Classic. How can they parlay that into a postseason berth for the Angels, and how that will change the free agency Hollywood story of Shohei and where he's going to go. That's going to be a fun story to follow. I hope that it happens. But the picks are in, and the smartest people on the podcast have definitely made the right decision here. Dallas being the one person that doesn't have the Angels, which is, that's that AL West bias showing. He probably has the fucking Oakland A's. But we'll get to that point later when we reveal. But he probably has the Oakland A's catching that 6th wild card spot. Jake, what division's next?
Next up, we got the AL Central. The Cleveland Guardians are favored to win the Central at plus 130, followed by the Twins at plus 215, White Sox at plus 250, and the Royals and Tigers are both tied for last at plus 3,000.
Yeah, what a boring ass division this is going to be. The White Sox, so I think most of us probably have the Guardians winning this division and no wild card team. Does anyone have a wild card team coming out of the Central?
No.
Okay. I obviously have the Guardians, but I think for me, the most interesting story in the Central this year is how we thought the Chicago White Sox had this window of division titles, postseason berths, deep playoff runs, maybe a title mixed in. We all know that the MLB postseason can be a luck of the draw type situation here. But I would have figured that once we sort of got that 2020 season from the Chicago White Sox, that we were about to embark on a run of lottery tickets, essentially. Like, you're getting to the playoffs on an annual basis. You're making a run at a World Series title and maybe taking one home. And now we're talking about, are they going to finish 500? Are they going to be just barely above it? Are they going to finish below 500? I don't think they're going to finish below 500. But that's the conversation. I don't know. I'm disappointed at what the White Sox could have become. And I've talked to some White Sox fans. They are optimistic that things are going to be better simply because Tony La Russa is not managing the team anymore. I just don't think that Tony not being there makes that big of a difference to where
he was not that big of a detractor.
No, but I appreciate
he's
the
just
optimism.
He's an easy blame spot. He's an easy scapegoat. But no, the bottom line is this team has way too much fucking talent to not be good. Well,
I agree.
This team has way too much talent to not be good.
Here's the thing: is I agree on paper, but like the problem is that none of this talent is developing, and I think that is the story of the White Sox and Guardians and the paths that they've taken. Is that the Guardians are an elite developmental organization, and the White Sox to this point have proven to be well below average. You just have to like almost every single person who makes it to the Guardians main club ends up being a lot better than most people had anticipated them being, or get better as they go along. You look at this White Sox team: Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, Yohan Moncada, Andrew Vaughn. That was supposed to be, and Tim Anderson, who I'm putting aside because he's just good. But those other 4 guys were supposed to be the core of this next great Chicago White Sox run. And every single one of those players has either stagnated or gotten worse. Part of that is injury, but part of that is that when they've been on the field, they haven't been as good as people thought they were going to be. And that to me is like,
and that all, no, that's I mean, that was exactly where I was going. That's why I said Eloy's name, is because they had Abreu to cast a shadow, and they got to get comfortable in the shadow of Abreu at times. And whether he was leading the charge, whether he wasn't doing enough to carry the club, whatever, it just felt like the responsibility was never making its way down the totem pole to where Eloy lives, to where Moncada lives, to where Vaughn lives. It was all kind of settling on the shoulders of Abreu. He's gone. To the point of lack of development, nobody else has stepped up and jumped into that spot and said, I'll be the fucking dude. Hasn't happened.
Does anyone not have the Guardians? Everyone's got the Guardians. Okay. I mean, what other conversation needs to be had here? I think if you want to talk about the Minnesota Twins, you bring back Carlos Correa. Did the Twins get better?
Well, I mean, are the Twins right now? Where are they? Are they predicted to win the division?
No,
they're the second best odds behind the
plus 2,500
to win the division.
To win the division,
yeah, plus 215. White Sox are plus 250.
I mean, I don't know. I don't see it with.
I mean, this is like, honestly, I feel like again, once again, this division you could look up and you could tell me that the White Sox got their shit together. They got a 6.5 game lead, and I go, yeah, you know what? It's about time.
Yeah, you could definitely see the White Sox squeak. I mean, the Guardians aren't the scariest team in the world. You know, they've proven that they've been the best team in the division last year. But the White Sox, you know, like if Eloy plays a whole season, Tim Anderson plays a whole season, maybe they get better. I don't know. The Twins got better pitching. What
about? Let's ask this question a different way. What about the Guardians? Makes it a no-brainer. If it's a no-brainer, or what about the Guardians tells us this is why I can't get off the Guardians. This is why I can't go with the White Sox.
Because they're the only organization that isn't like a shit show. The past 5 years at least. Like the Twins haven't won a playoff game in decades, right? I mean, and then
2004.
Yeah, we all watched what happened with the Sox last year.
Yeah, I think Joey basically just said in many words what I was going to say in one word, and it's history. Like I think we're going off of the track records of the three organizations, but kind of to circle back on the White Sox, I want to believe, but because of history, I don't. Like I've seen.
See, and that's how I feel. That's how I feel about the fucking Angels going to the playoffs. Yeah. Honestly, I want to fucking like. Who else on this podcast is blowing Shohei aside from Joe the way and like I want them to be good. It's so good for the division. It's so good for baseball because this team and this brand of baseball that they've been playing is an exciting one to watch, especially when they're performing.
Is Dallas really claiming that like he's the only person that likes Shohei Ohtani? that's your take?
No. That's not what I said at all. I said who else is blowing Shohei the way I am? And I was going to start like rattling off names. And I'm saying who else goes to bat for this team the way that I do, thinking that they've got what it takes to be competitive. They just can't get out of their own fucking way, whether it's in the draft or signing players that don't fit at the time or whatever it may be. There's always something that they're putting in front of themselves.
I think there's just too much. There's too much aligning in the baseball universe surrounding the Angels where they have to be one of the main focal points of this baseball season. Like, how disappointing would it be if the Angels just finished fucking with 83 wins and then they missed the playoffs? They're third or fourth in the division again. It's like that can't happen. Like that. If you're writing the story, if you're writing the script of how do we keep eyeballs on the product during the offseason, it's like, well.
The reason the focal point is the Angels is because let's say things don't go well. We're going to be having the conversation about Artie Moreno and the fact that he should have sold the team because what are they going to do now? Trudge along for the next 10 years doing the same shit? This was the year it was supposed to be different, and it's not. This was the year that they had to move away from Shohei. This was the year they had to move on from Mike Trout if they were going to do anything to rebuild this franchise, blah, blah, blah. Those are the conversations we're going to be having at the end of this thing. That's fucking brutal.
Yeah, it's like the last dance, but instead of the team being the Bulls who win the championship every year, it's a team that can make the playoffs. And the goal is to make the Angels, wild card. Like that's the last dance.
Like their success has such an impact, or lack of success could have such an impact on Major League Baseball, more so than any other team's success or lack of, just because of the two players we talk about and the potential for them to move. Like, I don't know that anybody really truly in their heart of hearts believes that Mike Trout ever plays for another team. But that's why it's an interesting conversation to have, because you would have to ask, how serious are you about the future if this guy's a no touch, hands off, and you're not doing anything else around him? Like, what are we doing here?
It's almost like, because as baseball fans, we're all rooting for the Angels. We're pulling for them to be in that big stage, but it's like, maybe we're wrong and we should be rooting for them to just get shit on the first half. So they maybe trade Shohei to a contender, which I don't think it's going to happen, but who knows? But
that's why it all is just, the focal is there because you go back to the Artie Moreno thing. Is that what Artie's going to do? Is that why Artie didn't want to sell the team? So that they could shit the bed this first half? He could trade Shohei and then have to answer questions about Mike Trout? Is that the grand plan here for Artie and the gang? Is to be fucking terrible the first, like, that's why this is just so interesting to watch.
I love how we were talking about the White Sox being disappointing, and it's like, you know who else is disappointing? The fucking Angels. Let's circle back to that.
We can't stop talking Angels, man. It's just the fact, like, they are the most interesting bad team in the history of, like, baseball. It's just...
Should I call Max?
I mean, what's he going to have for us?
I want to know if he's got the Angels making the playoffs. Let's see.
Before we move on from the Central, though, can we just comment on how fucking pathetic and terrible the Royals and Tigers are? Like,
so bad.
It's not just like they're going to be bad this season. Since 2017, this is the 28th and 29th best teams in baseball by win percentage. Only the Orioles have been worse, and I think we can all agree that there's light at the end of the tunnel for the Orioles with some of the prospects that are coming up. There feels like there's literally no light at the end of the tunnel for either one of these franchises. Like, I can't, other than Bobby Witt and Pasquantino, like, I can't name anybody who's going to be a meaningful contributor on the Royals in 2 to 3 years. And every single one of the Tigers prospects who has come up has either gotten hurt or sucked. Now, maybe Riley Green and Torkelson don't end up sucking, but like, their pitching staff, the vaunted pitchers that were supposed, like Casey Mize injured, like, unfortunate, but Tarek Skubal injured. When are these teams going to be good? The bar is really low to win this division, as we've alluded to, which is why I think it is possible that the White Sox probably have the highest upside if everything clicks. But the Guardians have such a high floor. But these teams, literally everything could go right, and they couldn't even get to the Guardians level. Like, they're just so bereft of talent.
I'm curious to know, because you weren't here last year. Like, I remember last year me thinking, like, oh, the Tigers have a chance to be like a sneaky playoff team. Did you think that?
I did. I actually did. I thought last year was going to be the year where the Tigers started to turn the corner, and it wasn't really even because of Baez. Like, I thought Baez would be better than he was, but you saw the pitching, and you saw, like, Riley Green and Torkelson coming up. I was with you. I thought they'd be a sneaky threat to be like 500 last year, and I feel like they've gone backwards over the course of the last calendar year.
Yeah, that was like a complete 180 where it's like they have a really good future, young players, and then 1 year later, nope, they have nothing. They're
still rebuilding, essentially, from the World Series run that's now over a decade ago.
Yeah.
Like 2012, quick math, that was 11 years ago. And they really have never been relevant since that run.
Yeah.
I mean, 2014 was the end of that run. 2012 was the World Series year, but like, they have one season above 500 since then. It's just, that place was cool. It was a cool franchise. It was a cool place for baseball to be thriving when it was good. And it feels so far away now.
It really does. I completely forgot about that until Joe just brought it up about how there was some optimism about the Detroit Tigers last year, and I don't know that it was entirely sparked by the Javi Baez signing, but at least that signing showed a commitment to let's try and not be an abomination. Like, let's bring in some talent here, and we're going to pay for that talent. And then Coley was saying, watching the World Baseball Classic, he's like, I honestly think that Javi Baez is fueled by the environment, like having him play for Puerto Rico and seeing 100%. Him like give max effort and whatever. I mean, it's a small sample size. Like, any player can start off having a hot April. Maybe that's the same thing, but putting a guy like Javi Baez in Detroit, of all places geographically, in the organization that he's in, with the situation that he's in, and that you get what you get. Like I don't think that Javi Baez just fell off a cliff production wise. I think it's an environment thing. But yeah, that's talking Tigers for 2023. I can't imagine that we will hit on the Tigers very much moving forward for the rest of the year. Jake, what else do you got? What division's next?
Time for the East.
Yep. My personal favorite, the AL East. The Yankees are favored to win the division at plus 125, followed by the Blue Jays at plus 205, the Rays at plus 340, the Red Sox at plus 1500, and the Orioles at plus 2500.
I don't think I'm allowed to start.
Oh, please, by all means.
I have a question
You know
for
what?
the Red Sox fans. on
No,
the
that's about
podcast,
how I
actually.
felt. That's how I felt about their odds too. Go ahead.
In your heart of hearts, if you had to take the Red Sox or the Orioles finishing higher this year, who are you taking?
Oh, definitely the Red Sox.
Oh, okay. Do you think they're closer? Do you think? Oh, let me rephrase then. Do you think they're closer to the Orioles, or do you think they're closer to the Blue Jays, Yankees,
They're
or Rays? If you think the
They're
Rays
I
are
won't
closer.
answer that.
They're closer to the Orioles,
okay.
but the Orioles are good. So
No, I think it
It's-
could be pesky too. I'm not really shitting on the Orioles. I just think like to me,
like
this
there's
feels
no
like a three-team division.
there's no doormat team in the AL East.
Agreed.
There is not one. There's no doormat team in the AL East. You could have a 500 record this year and finish in last place. So I think they're probably closer to the Orioles than they are to the Blue Jays Yankees conversation. And Tampa's Tampa. You never really know what you're going to get. But I don't know. I think the Red Sox will be in that 82 to 87 win range if they stay healthy. I can't predict who's going to get hurt and whatnot. I think if they do stay healthy, then yeah, you're talking about a team that could win in that 82 to 87 range. And if you do that, you're talking 6 wild card spot. Like 86 wins could get you in.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But that's the range that I have the Red Sox in, 82 to 87.
Dan Zimborski, who does the Zips projections, which are housed on Fangraphs, he did the projected standings a little while ago, and I'm just fascinated by what his projections say because it's got the Yankees at 89, the Blue Jays at 88, and the Rays at 86 wins. And Jared's right, the lowest projected team is 79 wins, so there is no dog shit team in this division. But like those 3 teams clump together within 3 wins of each other, and then you look at the odds that Jake provided us from DraftKings. And you see that the Yankees are plus 125, the Blue Jays are plus 205, and the Rays are plus 340. Like, to me, if you're looking for a value, I mean, nobody likes betting on the Rays. It's no fun for anyone. But
No, but that's
like, if they're projected within 3 games of the top of the division, yet their odds are 3 times as long as the Yankees, like
That's
that to me feels like a pretty decent play.
that's a value bet, and that's where that's the difference in a series, right? That's a season series,
Right.
It's 3 games. That's a hot streak. That's a great week that the Rays had during a week where the Yankees did not have a great week.
Especially because these win projections are from a time, I believe Rodon's injury was already known, but Severino's was not. So that brittle Yankees rotation, which is obviously very talented, feels a little flimsy
Vulnerable.
to start the season.
It's wild to me that a team with a roster as good as the Blue Jays can be projected at 87 wins.
So low. I
Yeah.
know. So low. Like,
I think they're easily the most interesting team in this division.
yes. No, like I want to roll with the Jays.
Do it.
I want
I
I
am
run
rolling with the
Go with the
Jays.
BJs, baby.
I'm rolling with the
I'm
Jays.
fucking down for the BJs. Down
I
for
just,
them.
you know,
Because
I mean,
they've got like,
Pete's
here's
sake,
what's interesting.
You pissed off Garrett, bro.
Oh, I did.
I just,
Here's
you
what,
know, I mean, for Pete's sake, it's
the Blue Jays, they've got some questions in that lineup that are going to have to be answered for me sooner rather than later if they're serious about contending at the top of this division. And I'm looking at you, Brandon Belt. and I'm looking at you, Kevin Kiermaier, and I'm also looking at you, young Dalton Varsho.
I loved all of those pickups. I loved all of those pickups for the Jays. I agree there are some questions that have to be answered by them, particularly whatever contribution Brandon Belt's going to make this year.
Where are you going to put him, Jayhay? You're excited. Like I'm not attacking you saying you're excited about Belt. Where are you going to put him? But
I mean, I think it's mostly DH, right?
Yeah, but that's why, like, and if he doesn't hit, buddy, I mean, come on.
I think
that's why, like, we got to get that production sooner than later from him.
For sure. And you also, like, the open question of just what caliber of star is Vlad Guerrero Jr.? Like, is he a really good player or is he an MVP candidate? Because those are the two things that we've seen from him in his career. In 2021, it was an MVP candidate. And in every other season of his career, it's been something much less than that. And I think the idea of the Blue Jays is sort of predicated on him being an MVP caliber talent. Or one of him and Bo Bichette being an MVP caliber talent, whoever wants to step up. But I do think that's kind of built into the sauce here as to how they win the division. And I also think Jose Berrios is on the short list for, like, most fascinating players in this entire division because,
oh my God,
I mean,
Jay, he's a dude.
No, I was just going to say, when they got him, like, it felt like they were putting one of the final pieces of the puzzle together. And
yes.
And he was fine for them after they got him in 21. And then last year he was terrible. He was just like, of guys who took the ball all the time, he was one of the least effective pitchers in baseball.
Jay, he was my fucking Cy Young pick last year, and it was all based on everything.
You're a fucking idiot.
Exactly. It was all. I was like, dude, you're gonna plug him in up there after what we just saw in the second half, and he's gonna have a full year. And this fucking offense, like, he's gonna get real comfortable.
Want to hear a funny stat?
And
his manager this WBC, Yadier Molina, had a higher pitching WAR than him last season.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
That's great. I do think this rotation is set up where he doesn't have to be a frontline starter for them to win the division and have a lot of success. Like, he needs to be better than he was last year, because I think on paper you can be comfortable with him being your fourth best starter in this rotation.
Yeah, but if he's not good and Kikuchi's not good, though, right? Like,
totally. They did not acquire him to be their fourth best starter, but they also have Alek Manoah, who has arrived. They have Kevin Gausman,
opening day starter Alek Manoah,
who's a legitimate frontline guy now. And they have Chris Bassett, who I think was a really underrated signing by them and slots perfectly into the middle of that rotation in terms of availability and effectiveness. Like,
Did you see that Alek Manoah dunked on Hubs?
No, but literally a low bar, right?
The Empire's back, baby!
He
dunked on him.
Yes. Hubs essentially said that Alek Manoah is too fat to be effective with the pitch clock.
I honestly can't believe what passes for baseball analysis over there.
It's bad. It's real bad. It's bad.
You got to know baseball, Jay.
Yeah. I don't get the whole, like, I don't get the Manoah weight thing. Like, when has that ever been a fucking issue for him? Like, he's not fat. I mean, this is going to sound bad coming from me. Like, I'm going to come off defending the thick community because I am part of it, but
because that's what you're doing.
yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Manoah, not a fat guy. You fat guy and ready to defend other fat guys. So go for it, please. But I just wanted to make that distinction for the fans. Manoah, not the fat guy.
I called myself
Jared ready to defend other fat guys, though. Go ahead.
I had to call myself out before you had the opportunity. I think Alek Manoah is not fat. He's a thick boy. I've met him. I've stood side by side with him. We blocked out the sun together, but I think the mass equals gas Lance Lynn narrative, it plays. CC Sabathia plays. Like, he's not out there sucking wind because he's out of shape. If you watch the dude train, like, he trains like an animal. Like, his cardio is just fine. And clearly, if he's the opening day starter, he's just fine in terms of carrying some extra LBs and being able to turn that into velo.
Like I played with a guy who looked like he was a fucking comic strip superhero. A guy not available, not on the mound. Incredible shit, but just wasn't healthy. And sometimes there's guys who don't look like that you can absolutely attach your wagon to. Manoah's a guy who did, but buddy, what you want to fuck? I'm not here to win a fucking bathing suit contest and give a fuck about how I look in a speed. I don't give a shit. Here comes mid-nines, some wipeout fuck you stuff, and my attitude to go along with it. That gets outs. Piss off.
Also, fucking Kevin Gausman was 5th in F4 last year in baseball.
Yeah.
Or actually, it was tied for 4th with Alcantara, who won the fucking Cy Young in the NL. So,
Splitty.
I know it took Kevin Gausman a little while. He's there now and should be treated like a legitimate ace. And what's the separation between Gausman and Garrett Cole at this point?
Balls.
In perception, I think there's quite a bit. In production, I think there's not so much. But I'm taking the Blue Jays.
I am too.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome aboard.
It feels. Doesn't it feel like a trap that we fell in before?
No.
Yeah,
Let me make this point.
Absolutely.
Because there will be Yankee fans being like, "You're only picking the Blue Jays because you hate the Yankees." Bro, you guys have a fucking 2-man rotation right now.
Yeah.
Rodon, Severino, like who else? Fucking your boy Dallas. Fucking why am I blanking?
Nestor?
No.
Who are you talking?
Montas. They have a fucking 2-man rotation, and you're banking on Garrett Cole, who's been a model of consistency in terms of health. He's been super durable. Not saying he's due, but that's kind of scary that he's just, he's chugging along, and I'm just saying he's chugging along into his mid-30s. He's never had a fucking serious injury. TikTok. And then you have. I'm just saying. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
You're an asshole.
I'm not an asshole. Am I wrong? Guy's been super healthy. I'm not wishing injury on anybody. I'm not an injury guy.
Well, it sounds like you're raising that as a point to concern yourself with.
I mean, it's if this movie is Final Destination, guess who is sitting in the next seat?
This is the first ever. Hey, I'm just going to throw this out there. Guy's been super healthy and durable, literally his entire life.
Yeah.
So if there was ever a time,
for him to go down again, if this is Final Destination, guess who is sitting by the fucking emergency exit? Garrett Cole. And then Nestor Cortez. I mean, he had the fucking fake hammy injury because he didn't want to represent his country. And then, he was a first half wonder, but the second half, he came back down to earth. So the fact that, he's being called an ace or a frontline guy, we'll see.
I love it. Of all the things you go after Garrett Cole for, now it's like, he's too healthy. It's not good. He's too healthy.
He's too healthy. He's too healthy, man. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But even if he does miraculously stay healthy for the entire season, he's only one guy. He can't take the ball every single game. He's only going every 5th day. And, no disrespect to a guy like Clark Schmidt. There's just I don't see how you're going to piece that rotation together. I mean, they're throwing guys out there that we've never even heard of before. And obviously, Aaron Judge is going to regress. He's not going to hit fucking 60+ homers again this year. And he was their entire offense. So,
yeah.
I mean, Anthony Volpe, very excited. Positive. Anthony Volpe, congratulations on making the opening day roster.
Yes.
That was a really cool video. He deserved it.
Card stock through the roof now.
Yep.
Multiple Volpe autos that I was extremely excited about when he was announced to make the roster.
There you go. Anthony Volpe, very excited to see him out there. That was the correct call. Get IKF out of here. Aaron Boone was on John Boy and John Boy's podcast with Jake. I think it was Talking Yanks. They were talking about, give me one guy that's going to surprise us this year. Booney said our boy Josh Donaldson.
No.
Who's basically in full fuck it mode. Like he's just like he's like, I'm fucking washed up. No one believes in me, so I'm just gonna go out there and sock fucking 35 homers.
Hold on. I want to hit on that because there's really good reason to not believe in Josh Donaldson at this point. His Let me drop a stat on you. Only
I think
one
you're going to give us
person in
those reasons.
only one person in baseball saw a larger drop in average exit velocity last season than Josh Donaldson did. Like there are alarming things about his batted ball numbers from last season that suggest that it might be impossible for him to turn it around. So
It's had a hot spring.
I appreciate that Booney is optimistic. I think you focused on the pitching. I think there is legitimate collapse potential on the offense too. Like I know the Yankees can kind of fall ass backwards into an above average offense every year, but you go up and down this lineup and it's like, I already said what I was going to say about Josh Donaldson. I'm not optimistic. Aaron Hicks
sucks.
Isn't really good, right? He's not really a good offensive player and hasn't been for quite some time. Giancarlo Stanton, who is on my personal Mount Rushmore for players to have watched over the last 10 years, saw his OPS drop by 110 points to a career low last year and was available for 450 plate appearances. So it's not like one of those seasons that was just a complete wash.
Mm-hmm.
And I think DJ LeMahieu is starting to show he's almost 35 years old.
He's still alive?
He's starting to show signs of age too. And I just think like outside of maybe having the best pure hitter in the sport right now and the excitement that comes with
and Jayhay, you know who ain't walking through that fucking door?
Tino Martinez.
Roger Maris Jr. and all his
Oh,
that's good. That's true. They lost Roger.
Yeah.
How would they gonna do it, man? Where's the motivation now? They don't have the son of a former Yankee great in the house.
They literally had a sign in the clubhouse last year that said "Rally for Roger," but in parentheses it says Junior. It was, I don't know where they're gonna get it from, but that's why I'm going Blue Jays, and listen, no bias here. I don't have anything against the Yankees or their organization. I'm a big Oswaldo fan. I advocated for Anthony Volpe all spring, multiple tweets saying, what are the Yankees doing? They've absolutely got to have him on the opening day roster. They do. I was happy for him. I'm excited for the fans. If you're a Yankee fan, listen to this podcast. Thank you. But listen, they're just not as good as the Toronto Blue Jays.
I like them bringing back Rizzo.
Mm-hmm.
He was like sneaky, really good last year.
You think this?
Well, he like Rizzo is just, for me, he's one of those guys that like he's like a Napoli. Like you want him around. You need him around. He's going to help in different ways that you might not be able to quantify. There's a certain level of expectation when you show up, when he's there. And I'm not saying Knapp had all of that, but Rizzo, I think, embodies a lot of that.
Well, he also, lineup balance might be overrated, but he also gives them a left-handed batter. That's something.
I don't think it's overrated at all.
And the shift probably going to help a lot. No shift for him is probably going to be good.
Yep. Can't hurt.
Mm-hmm. Definitely can't hurt.
So we got the Jays out the East.
Yep. I before we move on from the AL East, I was going to ask Jayhay this question. Where is the Rays cliff? How do they keep doing it? We didn't even talk about the Rays. They make the playoffs every year. They always win over 90 games. There's never any excitement about them coming into the season. How do they do it? When does it stop? Does it stop?
So the way that it happens is that I think it's a lot like the way that Cleveland continues to churn, even as they go through stars, and it's player development. And it's oftentimes on the pitching side. Like we see these trades where they send out a Blake Snell, or they further back, they send out a James Shields, and we always assume that there's not going to be the guy to backfill, and there really always is. And even when Shane McClanahan was the elite prospect that was ready to backfill the Blake Snell spot, so to speak. But then you also have like lesser known developmental, like monumental achievements, really, like Drew Rasmussen's stuff and the quality of his stuff and how that was playing up as the season went on last year was noteworthy. Jeffrey Springs, kind of out of nowhere, has turned into a really effective pitcher for them. I know he's been in a hybrid role. It looks like he's going to be in the rotation this year. And then you just have their constant stream of relief pitchers currently led by Fairbanks and Jason Adam, where it's like there's just no end to that. And I think having that pipeline of pitching that kind of never stops gives them a floor that allows them to trot out some offenses that I think are the part that frustrates me about the Rays is they never, ever put any chip in. They just take them out. And I wish, I'm not a Rays fan, but if I was a Rays fan, I would wish that one of these years they would actually supplement this roster with players that are good, as opposed to just trying to get the most efficient 88 wins that they possibly can get, or the most efficient 93 wins that they can possibly get. I think they're a great sneaky candidate, much like the Angels. I think they're the best value in this division.
Jay, I think the brain trust of the Tampa Bay Rays understands one thing very clearly, though, and that is in this game of baseball, you are never one player away. You're never two players away because you can look across the divisions and see teams that have a wide gap between their talent or perceived star talent and the Rays and see the difference in success. I mean, look at the Texas Rangers supplementing themselves with the $500 million infield that everybody refers to. Are either one of those additions to the Rays the get me over the hump move? Are both of those additions to the Rays the get me over the hump move?
No, probably not. But I do think
the Rays have done
in that sweet spot where an extra win or two or three added to their roster in any given year could be really important. And they so rarely make that push. And I just think if we remove the baseball as a business element from this and focus on what is the best entertainment product or what would I want as a fan, it would be for the Rays to act differently. Going back to Jared's question, though, really fast, the other thing that stands out to me about this roster is what percentage of these players were acquired via trade. Like the vast majority of these people came via trade. Yandy
2/3 of their lineup.
Randy Arozarena trade. Harold Ramirez, Manuel Margot, Isaac Paredes, Christian Betancourt, Jose Siri, all via trade. Zach Eflin was a free agent signing, but Springs, Rasmussen, both trades. Like there is a player development thing going on here, but there's also
say the S word. Say the S word.
What S word?
Scouting.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean,
scouting.
I think
here, those are two things.
To your point about scouting, this is the team that you should always be careful to not trade with, I think, because there are too many instances of this team acquiring a guy and having him be demonstrably better than he was on his previous team.
Yeah, I don't care if we're playing poker and you're holding 7-2 offsuit and the Rays come by and look over your shoulder and look at your hand and then they give you the eyes like, hey, all right. You're like, what do you mean? Like this is literally the worst possible hand I could have. Why do you like it? What are you seeing? What do you got going on here? And it gives you pause for concern. But that's to your point about Cleveland as well. That's something that they do. They scout and they develop. And these are two things that are so important in today's game if you're going to be playing the economic role or trying to, as you say, achieve 88 to 93 wins the most efficiently way possible. How does that happen? Those two things right there. Those two things are major, major factors in how an organization can separate themselves and become efficient while not being able to be as economically strong as they'd like to be. Identify tools, sharpen the tools, use the right tool for the fucking job. That's what they do.
No question. And I also think one of the mistakes that the community in general makes about looking at the Rays in doing season previews like this and trying to project what they do is we all fall in love with the rotations that have the studs, the horses, the guys that we know are going to give 6, 7, 8 innings every time. Maybe the rotation has 2 or 3 of those guys. Cleveland is an example of that. Obviously, what the Mets are building, some Astros. But it's not in modern baseball. It's not how far does your first pitcher go. It's how effective are all of the pitchers that you're going to throw in a given game. And so when we look at the Rays and we see, well, shit, Jeffrey Springs and Drew Rasmussen and Zach Eflin are the guys behind Shane McClanahan. Okay, that's underwhelming a little bit, but you also have to remember that those guys are very likely to be throwing 4 2/3 or 5 1/3 or 3 1/3, and then they're getting backed up with one of the best bullpens in baseball where every asshole that comes out of there is, like we always talk about, is pumping 100, is pumping 98, has a 92-mile-an-hour break-me-off slider. Like,
and it's
the
not just from
holistic
there,
approach
Jayhay.
that the Rays have
It's not just
for 9 innings is just as effective, if not more effective, than the approach that a team with a stud horse at the top of the rotation or two is employing as well. So I think that I make that mistake all the time.
Yeah, and it doesn't, and that's the other thing, is it doesn't stop there. I try to remind people all the time with the Rays, they're looking at the AAA roster as well as just a mere extension of their big league roster. That's all it is. These are extra guys that I'm willing to plug in at any point in time when we need to, when the numbers and the roster construction tells us we need to make a move and the production tells us we need to make a move. We have got a roadmap. That right there. It's not, I mean, it is difficult and it is convoluted and it is detailed, but that is that simple as to how the Rays continue to do shit like this.
They got
some guy that's going to make an impact this year, and nobody on this podcast even knows that guy plays fucking baseball right now.
Yep.
I just got some dude canceled by an accident. My bad.
What are you doing?
Before we went on before we hit record, I tweeted like, "Hey, like, there's fucking baseball, like Red Sox baseball this week," and some dude replied, and he was like, "You fucking blow the WBC. Do you even care about MLB? Blah blah blah." And his profile picture was him, like with his hair. I can't talk, but it coiffed, and then he's in a pool with his arms up on like the end of the pool, but he's looking off into the distance. And so I said, "Sick pool pic, looking away from the camera that you know is there, like a Christian rock band album cover." And then people searched his tweets, and he had some very problematic tweets. And then they tweeted the screenshots at him, and then he deleted his account. So listen, hey, don't talk that shit. Don't talk that shit. It's you're always a gangster until it's tweets not loading. You know? Dude just got wiped off the fucking internet for trying to say that, oh, you enjoyed the World Baseball Classic, so that means you can't be excited about opening day now. You got to pick one. Yep. Either you're a World Baseball Classic guy or you're a fucking MLB guy. You can't be both, bro.
Clearly, he's a potty mouth.
Yeah. By the way, I've got some takes on foreigners that you need to hear.
What? Jesus.
Yeah. The fucking worst people exist on Twitter, man. I tell you.
All right. Let's get to the fucking NL.
Well, let's fucking get to the Blue Moon, because some beers, some beers, can say that they're brewed for baseball, but only Blue Moon is brewed by baseball. Beer and baseball just go together, and no beer goes better than the one that was literally born in a ballpark.
In a brewery.
Yeah, in a ballpark. Every beer was born in a brewery. You
Brewery
dumb
born
fuck.
in a ballpark. Brewery born in a ballpark. Come on.
Blue Moon was created at Coors Field in Denver, Colorado. It's the natural choice for opening day and all season long. Thursday, I got my guys upstairs right now. They're tackling the media room. They're hanging up the big 75. By the way, I haven't debuted what it looks like, but the new TV wall is something to behold. And I'm building a bar in the media room. So I'm going to reach out to Blue Moon and be like, "Hey, let's get some Blue Moon taps in there. Let's get some Blue Moon neon signs. Let's make this a Blue Moon bar in the media room." Which obviously won't be done for opening day, but maybe by the All-Star break, we'll have some Blue Moon signage going on in there. And obviously we'll be having Blue Moons in the media room. Yes, Dallas.
Can we call it the LZ?
What does that stand for?
The landing zone. It's where the rocket lands.
Oh,
buddy.
Yeah, I could.
Add a hat, I'd tip it.
Oh, with its refreshing flavor with Valencia orange peel for subtle sweetness and hints of coriander. Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale is one-of-a-kind beer that's made brighter. It's carefully crafted and full-flavored with refreshing notes and a smooth, creamy finish. Blue Moon was brewed by baseball to give you a dose of nostalgia and get you excited for the new season. Why strike out with the same old beer when you can get something that's one of a kind? Its bold flavor, bright explosion of color, and iconic orange slice ritual guarantees a one-of-a-kind beer experience perfect for spring weather. Best served with its signature orange garnish to showcase its beautiful bright color. A beer this good only comes around once in a blue moon, but you can enjoy it all season long. Bring the ballpark to you with Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale. It's a one-of-a-kind every time. Check out shop.bluemoon.com for beer and baseball merch, or visit get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket to find Blue Moon delivery options. That is get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket. Blue Moon, made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado Ale.
Moon me, Jake.
Oh, Jake, what do we got for the first NL division that we're going to tackle here right now?
We'll start with the NL West.
Okay.
The Dodgers are favored to win it at -110.
What?
Followed by the Padres at +120. The Giants at +950. The D-backs at +4,500. And the Rockies at +18,000.
You know what?
Wow.
You know what?
In the air to right field. Towards the corner.
It's the year.
It's gone.
This is the year.
Slam Diego.
This is the year. I feel like they're, you can never bet against the Dodgers. But if you were to do it, this is probably the year to do it. Because the Dodgers, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe Jayhay knows this. They did not go over the luxury tax this year, correct?
Yes.
So they're telling you right now, we're not really going for it. Like we've got the players, like we've got the talent to do it. Obviously, if they're favored to win the NL West, they've got the talent to do it. But they're telling you, Andrew Friedman's saying, we're not really going for it. Like we might do it. We might do it, but we're not putting forth all of our efforts. And I think it's pretty obvious why. They're trying to get under the luxury tax, to reset the penalties, to then be like, hey, Shohei, how does $750 million sound? Sound pretty good?
This is this is just sitting for Shohei. That's all that is.
Yeah.
Sitting for Shohei. But what a luxurious spot to be in, to be able to say, you know what, we're not really going to
team
go
that's
for
favored.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah. But are they, so I thought the Padres were favored to win the division, or projected to win the division on Fangraphs.
Maybe.
Are we sure about that?
On Fangraphs.
Yeah, last time I looked, I'm almost positive they are.
I'll tell you right now. You've got
I believe the Padres are the only 90-win team in that division, because they are slated to win 90 games.
The Padres are 90 and 72. Dodgers 87 and 75, which is why this is garbage. Like the team that Fangraphs has as leading the majors in wins is the Braves with 92.
Oh, that's garbage.
Yeah. 92 wins to lead the majors?
Well, that is ridiculous. They should get more than that, but
I mean, those projection systems are always going to crunch the edges a little bit. I think the Braves being the best team is a legitimate thing, though. Like, I think that's definitely
like
possible.
that. Yeah, that's viable. That's viable overall. But in this division, all right, there's probably a couple maybe three teams that we could just, based on the other two teams. Is that fair to say? But it feels like, and Joey, you said it earlier, or who's I think said, is this a trap? When we were talking about the Central,
Toronto.
right?
No, we were talking about Toronto.
Or Toronto.
Yeah.
So is this a trap? Is this a trap? The Padres have done what they've done, have made the noise that they've made, and the Dodgers are still, as you said, still slated to win more games, still slated to take the division. Is it a trap picking the San Diego Padres?
I think it's a trap, just because, on paper they're better, but even last year after the deadline, the Padres were probably better on paper, just looking at the rosters, and the Dodgers outperformed them by a lot, because the Dodgers are basically the Rays with money, the way they move and the way they
they just
exactly
who they are.
They just win. even if they don't have stars, and they do have stars. So I think me, I mean, I'm picking the Dodgers for that alone because we've seen this before. Not to say that the Padres beat them last year in the playoffs, but over 162 long season, like.
So here's the thing though. Here's the thing with the Dodgers. Jared referred to the Yankees as having a 2-man rotation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying the Dodgers have a 2-man rotation. That's not what I'm saying at all. But they do have Dustin. What's that?
That kind of feels like where you're going here.
No, so you've got Clayton Kershaw on a 1-year deal. Is it his last go? Is this the swan song?
I just keep going back to like Kershaw being the same age as DeGrom, and that just blows everyone's minds every time that they hear it.
The numbers and the well, I mean, and what's crazy is, wouldn't you wish for DeGrom? Like, could you imagine what it would look like if DeGrom stayed healthy the way Kershaw stayed healthy?
I mean, Kershaw, you could say, didn't really stay healthy and still put up Hall of Fame numbers.
Well, I mean, not towards the back end of his career. Was he not
but
healthy?
Is it like I the back end in terms of if you took the years and then said, oh, the back end here, but like what is he, 34?
Kershaw, 34, 35 probably.
Yeah. So it's like he's just now entering the back years. Like we shouldn't, like if he had stayed healthy.
But he's got 14 years in the fucking league.
That's what I'm saying.
Like just because he's, like when athletes age like fucking like dogs, bro. Like
that's what. But Kershaw right now, you're saying he's in the back end. Like
I'm saying for the first 10 years of his
Barry
career,
Bonds was just warming up by 34.
Same thing.
Yeah, well, there's a couple different things at play there. There are a couple different things at play.
Like what? Both West Coast guys.
Clayton Kershaw for the first 10 years of his career, Jared, is pumping out 200 fucking innings a year, 200 plus innings a year, making 30 plus starts.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and when I say back in, now we're talking the last, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years where he's not making 30 starts. I mean, there was some injury history before that, but he's making 30 plus every year for 10 fucking years, damn.
Yeah.
Like that's a pretty good run, especially.
I do think
one of my buddies just sent me a text message. I don't know. Actually, the dude that I read his text message last episode about him just getting back into baseball, he just sent me, I didn't open it, but he just sent me a TikTok and he said, "This is great." Guess who the TikTok creator is?
Not me.
Yep.
It's obvious. go viral on TikTok every day, pretty much. Yep.
Baseball doesn't exist, bro. TikTok superstar. Right.
But looking at that rotation, you've got Kershaw, swan song, Dustin May, bounce back.
Why are you so convinced of that?
Why am I so convinced of what? Kershaw, swan song?
Yeah.
He's back on a 1-year deal, right?
But he's been on a 1-year deal, right? Didn't he just take a 1-year deal to come back last time? Didn't we just go through this process with him?
No. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he's like, and part of my saying that is because of what we've seen, what he's experienced health-wise the past 2 years, 3 years. Maybe I'm right. I'm right. So fuck you for laughing, Joe. He signed 3 years. 3 years, 93. He signed a 3-year deal from 19 to 21. And then he signed a 1-year deal for $17 million in 2022. And then he signed a 1-year deal for $20 million, which is weird that he signed for more, getting older, for $20 million. So it's a $15 million deal with a $5 million signing bonus. So it counts as $20 million for this year. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. 1-year deal. I don't know. Curious to me. Maybe, and maybe that's him, like, feeling this out. Hey, don't know if I can make a.
This is. I mean, it's not the perfect comparison, but this is what the Red Sox did with Tim Wakefield. It's just like he got to a certain age where they were like, "We'll give you if you want to keep coming back, we'll keep giving you a 1-year deal, but we're not going multi-year, like given the circumstances." So he probably can just print 1-year deals with the Dodgers for as long as he wants. But it's not like Clayton Kershaw's corpse is out there. He had a fucking 2.28 ERA last
Oh my
year
God.
and 126 in a third innings. He had his strikeouts per 9 had to have been, his strikeouts per 9 were almost 10, 9.8. He had a sub 1 whip, 0.94, and he had a 2.28 ERA and 126 in the third innings.
After Kershaw and Urias, you've got May on the bounce back, Syndergaard, and Pepe.
Am I wrong? Syndergaard's going to have like a 2-3 this year. For sure.
Probably.
For sure.
You got 12 strikeouts per 9.
But that was my like that's where I went when it came to the Dodgers is Urias, Kershaw. You can check those boxes. We know what May is capable of. That is absolutely disgusting. Like other planetary, it's alien type shit. His stuff. Syndergaard, if he's figuring out the touch and feel, love that. Love that for him. Love that for him. And then the young fella. Pepio.
I think you guys have said it. I think this is more vulnerable than their rotation has been maybe during their entire run here. I like the Kershaw point. Yeah,
it's clearly it has.
You're penciling him in, but to your guys' point, he has not thrown 130 innings since 2019. So the quality is still very high.
He threw 126. I mean, like we're right on the line. I'll take 120.
No, I was just saying, like, regardless of where I draw the line, like 126 over 22 starts is not a lot for your number 2 starter. And to the Dustin May point, like as nasty as he is, there is going, and they've already established this, there's going to be workload limits placed on Dustin May. And I'm just going to draw the line on this one. I'm on the way opposite side of Noah Syndergaard. I don't think he has the touch and feel. Like, I don't think he is that kind of pitcher. And all velocity reports from him have been, at least that I've seen, have been super discouraging.
What?
Here's the stat I want to drop on Kershaw, though.
Oh.
Since he last won a Cy Young. So he has not won a Cy Young since 2014. Okay? Since he last won the Cy Young, he has a 2.48 ERA. Like, he's pitched 8 seasons since his last Cy Young, and he has an ERA under 2.5 on that stretch. And we're like,
it's over. It's over 1,000 innings.
Dude, yeah, it's 1,200 innings. It's insane. It's insane. Like, because yes, this is the back half of his career. If you're dividing it by a first half and a second half, and his ERA is 2.48 is in the fucking washed up portion of his career
in Skechers.
Well, look, I mean, look like his career ERA. His career ERA
is what?
Goes down every year.
His career ERA is 2.48. It's literally exactly what it's been over his last 8 seasons that I just read. Like, it's the same ERA. He's so fucking good.
Like to do that, Jay. All right, okay. So we know it's that for the last 8 years, which is so fucking. I'm trying to wrap my fucking head around that right now. Give me the first, because what's he got? 14 years in the first 7, and
so
what that career ERA looked like.
Yeah. So through his Cy Young
6.
years. So through his, oh, you know what it is? It's 2.48. He has the same ERA over his fucking washed up stretch that he did during his first 7 seasons when he won all the Cy Young.
But during that first 7 though, we watched the career ERA just go down.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there was a stretch while we're having fun, there was a stretch from 2013 to 2016, 4 seasons, where he threw 204 innings per season, and his ERA was 1.88. 4 seasons, 1.88. And not like janky seasons where he threw like 64 innings. They were all, he threw 816 innings over those 4 seasons. 1.88. It's like Maddox shit.
That is incredible. Incredible. So again, Jared, to my point, while he has been dominant and otherworldly, the back end compared to the front end, ERA identical. Outside of him, outside of Julio, who you got though?
I don't know. Like what does it line up as? Like, what is let me see.
Well, the overall, my arching point here is that when what we've been talking about, rotation depth, thin, support behind it, thin, bullpen, okay. Still got Bruzdar rolling out there. Still got Vesia. Who they decide to tab as the closer, hand those responsibilities to. I don't know if that still remains to be seen, how they're going to roll about that. The offense is going to do what the offense does.
The lineup is not as long as it used to be.
Well, I was just going to say, I think a lot of that has to do more so now with the top of the order, more than it ever has to that point, because it
you got Will Smith hitting third.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm not like not to like throw
Will
shade
Smith
at
used
Will
to hit
Smith,
sixth or eighth or whatever. It was Will Smith was not bearing the brunt, but Will Smith I've been beating Will Smith's drum for a hot minute.
He's awesome.
Quietly, the dude is probably the leader of this team, one of the leaders of this team, outside of the obvious Mookie and whatever. But like him just showing up and going to work the way that he has as a young dude, like that has an impact, because he was impactful as a young dude.
I think you need a bounce back season from a guy like Max Muncy. Like JD, I think makes the lineup a little bit longer, but then I don't want to call it like a barren wasteland towards the bottom, but I don't think you're getting a ton of offensive production from the bottom third of your lineup. And I don't want to say the bottom half. I think I can say the bottom third. You're just not, it's not what you would come to expect from your prototypical Dodgers lineup, where 1 through 9, you're like, this is a tough out.
And I think also Barnes, right? Barnes and Taylor, the depth that these guys provide, and I think it's maybe going to be a little more responsibility if the Dodgers are going to make up for any shortcomings that they experience with lack of depth on the mound, and if they're in a slugfest. You got to have guys that you can go to off the bench. But if those guys are now, I don't want to say in everyday roles, but are being asked to do more, production can wane.
Can I go rapid fire on some nugs here on some of the guys we just talked about?
Yeah.
So Will Smith, I'm glad we're drawing some attention towards him, because I think he might be on the short list for the most underrated players in baseball right now. His ranks among catchers over the last 3 seasons: second in homers, second in slugging, third in FWAR, first in WOBA. If you look at historically, catchers through their first 4 seasons among all catchers to debut in the expansion era, so that goes all the way back to 1961. If you order it by highest adjusted OPS, it's Mike Piazza, Buster Posey, Carlton Fisk, and Will Smith.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
I think the fact that he is not a guy who's out there getting 600 plate appearances as a catcher does a disservice, and maybe helps him achieve some of these numbers, but does a disservice to like the general perception of him as, I think, one of the stars in the game. You guys talked about Muncy, and to me, Muncy and JD Martinez are where this lineup is going to swing, because both of those guys were awesome prior to 2022, and both of those guys were various degrees of bad last year. And what's interesting is, for Muncy, there was one person in baseball who hit worse against fastballs than Muncy last season, and that was Geraldo Perdomo. And when you see older guys start to lose production against fastballs, that at least makes me look to that next season and be like, are they just kind of like toast? Is this kind of the end for Max Muncy? He was a guy who debuted late, who peaked late, and some of those guys tend to crater late or crater early as well. And then JD Martinez had one of the 10 largest year-over-year drops in average exit velocity in baseball last year, and also cratered against fastballs. He lost about 125 points off of his slugging percentage against fastballs. So that to me is like, if they can work their magic with Martinez and get Muncy back to what he was, like, I'm not at all worried about this lineup, but I think those are big ifs. And to your guys' points, ifs that didn't exist in previous seasons.
Also, the JD Martinez's hitting coach that like turned his career around. Guess who employs him? Fucking Dodgers. So like that there's if there is hope for JD to kind of turn it around, but yeah, that'll be an interesting wild card in their lineup because he's somewhere towards the middle. Like he's probably gonna hit what, like 5th or 6th there?
Yeah,
So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I pose a question?
Does everyone
to you guys?
have what? Go ahead.
Where do the Rockies rank in terms of most depressing franchises in baseball?
Oh. I would say that they are probably in the top 3. And I would have the Pirates, sorry, Dallas, and the Tigers.
I would put them above the Pirates and more depressing.
The Rockies, it's, I mean, you just watched mass dysfunction unfold at a level where you watched 2 iconic franchise players become so soured to the point where, like, I'm burning all the purple shit in my house. Like, how the fuck does that happen?
There doesn't seem to be a greater disconnect on any, like, the disconnect between what the Rockies ownership and management thinks that the franchise is and what they actually are on the field is the largest gap that exists in baseball. Like, you see those quotes that come out from their brain trust, and I'll use that as loosely as I possibly can. You see the quotes that come out from their brain trust before every single season starts, and it's like, I think we got a quality club. I think we're really going to make some noise. I think we're on the verge of the playoffs. Like, I think we've got a budding core here. And it's like, none of those things are true. You guys are terrible, and to Dallas's point, have alienated every meaningfully great player that has played for the team over the last 20 years.
Well, and I will also say this about some of the other franchise maybe that Jared named is I think there's, you know, front offices and whatnot that understand, like, look, there's only so much that we can do as folks who aren't, you know, maybe writing the paychecks or whatnot. Like, we can only do so much. And so we're not going to sell you this bill of goods like that. We're looking to contend, and here comes the March to October. And, you know, they kind of, I don't want to say stay in their lane, but everybody kind of gets it. Everybody understands what's going on. But it just doesn't seem like that's a case there. That's just not the case. Like, hey, Nolan, we love you. Fucking no, we don't. Fucking what? What?
The Trevor Story thing was still one of the most puzzling Rockies.
All of it, Jared. All of it.
They didn't trade him only to not pursue him in free agency. Like, they had no intentions of bringing him back, but they also didn't trade him to get something for him. Like, I'm all for hanging on to your guy, not trading him, because it's like, listen, if this is the only organization you've ever known and we trade you, then you might fall in love with another organization. You might see what it's like to play outside of this organization, and that lessens our chances to retain you in free agency. The Rockies had no chance of bringing back Trevor Story, and yet they were like, you know what? We're not trading this fucking guy. No chance.
Putting this guy in.
Well, you know what we want back for Trevor Story? Nothing.
Nothing. We're going to stick it to him. We'll show him he's in the fucking lineup every day.
Not only did they get nothing
That's
from
right.
Trevor Story, who is what, like the 5th or 6th greatest player in franchise history? You know, whatever.
Mm.
They paid the Cardinals to take Nolan Arenado.
Yes.
Yeah.
That to me is like,
Well, don't even get me started on it, Jay.
the Trevor Story thing is baseball incompetence, like not trading him and getting nothing in return and having him walk. The Nolan Arenado thing is so aggressively offensive that it's just bad on a different level. Like, Nolan Arenado, it's probably Helton or Walker, but Nolan Arenado has a credible claim as the greatest player in franchise history. And you told him in the middle of his prime, here's $50 million. Take yourself to St. Louis. Like, and you look at what they got back. It's not like those pieces are helping the club. It's Austin Gomber.
I don't care what you got back. I don't care. You treat that guy, that kind of player, that dude,
$50
like
million.
that. I mean, to get the fuck go.
I can't
go.
I
Go.
sort of
That's how spiteful they are. you're in the fucking lineup today, and you are not leaving with any less than $50 million and going to a contender right now. Get the fuck out of here.
Yo, and there's no reason to get into it totally, but we haven't mentioned how they got rid of or how they parted ways with Tulo or how Matt Holliday walked either. Like, it's just every player that matters is left.
Yep.
Usually with acrimony. Shout out to the D-backs, though. Corbin Carroll is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for saying that. What a division. What a division. Yeah, there's some excitement around the D-backs this year. Not enough to where they're going to be landing on any of our wild card spots, I would imagine. But there is some optimism in the desert. And man, there's does not appear to be much of a light at the end of the tunnel in Denver, Colorado. There's just blue moons. That's it.
That's enough. I mean, that's really all you need. That's why it's a great park, great beers. Chris Bryant's had a great spring. So
yeah, he did.
Oh shit, Chris Bryant plays for the Rockies.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. What a wow. That's mean.
Oh man.
Jake, what's the next division? Wait, are we all going Padres?
I'm
Everybody?
going Dodgers.
Okay, Joe's going Dodgers.
I think I'm going to go Pods. I think it is a trap, and I think Joey's probably right, but I'd rather have some fun rooting for the Padres if I'm split on it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's exactly.
Joey's
where I'm
right. I feel so stupid taking the Padres.
because it's right there. It's obvious that it's the Dodgers, is it not? That's how it makes. That's how this feels. It's obvious. Like, why wouldn't it be the Padres? Because it's obvious it's the Dodgers.
Giants.
But isn't it clearly the Padres?
Could be the Giants.
It's not going to be the Giants. No,
this is the year.
This is the year. 108 for the Giants. This is the year.
Mm-hmm. This is the year.
Everybody sees it coming this year. Everybody sees it coming.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Wood just struck out 10 motherfuckers
Mm.
in his final tune-up of the spring.
I'll enjoy his 11 starts.
Ooh.
Wow.
Well, geez, like I'm not spitting facts.
Just to
Jake, what do we got for the next division here?
Next up, we got the NL Central. The Cardinals are favored to win the NL Central at -125. The Brewers up next at +175, followed by the Cubs at +650, the Pirates at +3,000, and the Reds at +6,000.
Easiest call.
How did we not bring up the Reds in the conversation for like most depressing franchises?
Yeah.
A lot of Reds fans listen to this podcast. Shout out to Reds fans for just being an awesome baseball fan base, despite having an abomination of an organization. But they belong in the conversation for one of the most depressing franchises. Which kind of like, so YP was here for the weekend, and last night I forget even how they came up. Oh no, because I saw the like graphic about Ken Griffey Jr. is the fourth highest paid player on the Cincinnati Reds this year, and YP was like, the Reds got to be in the conversation for most irrelevant franchise in sports, and because we didn't even think of them to be one of the dumpster fire organizations, that kind of reinforces the point of how irrelevant they are, which is sad because it's such a great baseball city. Like, they fucking love their baseball in Cincinnati. But just like we will probably have the conversation about ownership in Pittsburgh, the ownership in Cincinnati is just, it's not good. It is not a good scene in Cincinnati as it pertains to ownership. But Dallas, do you want to give us a pump up speech for the Pittsburgh Pirates in 2023?
I don't know that. I don't know that this is the time. Or the
it's the time.
Pump up speech.
It's the time. This is the time.
There's. What do you want me to be excited about?
Baseball.
This isn't a good
Well,
start.
I am. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled for baseball. I'm extremely thrilled for baseball. Well, I'll tell you what I'm excited about. I'm excited to wear my O'Neal Cruz jersey. That's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about the fact that they went out and said, you know what? The C's be damned. I don't care what the forecast says. Red skies at night is a sailor's delight, Jared. Believe that. So what do? You bring back the captain. Who's steering this fucking pirate ship this year? Captain Kutch. He's back, baby. And he's back with his reinforcement. Who's Choi? G-Man's Choi, baby. That's right. G-Man Choi locking it up over at the one sack to Brian Hayes. He's going to take steps, baby. Getting better all the time is what we're here to do, Jared. And that's what Captain Kutch is back to do, is to watch all of these young buccos graduate to pirates that will eventually be cast off to their own deserted fucking island. I don't want to fucking talk about it anymore.
I mean, can we
Brian
get
Reynolds?
on? Yeah, Brian Reynolds. He's still
Brian
there.
Reynolds.
Yeah.
Still here. Slamtana's back.
Yeah.
Or Santana. Not back, but it's Jared, I don't know if I can even
stop veering off course. Positivity. Stay in your lane. Positivity. Come on.
I think I got something. Hold on.
Yeah, what's it?
I got something in my
What's up? Let me get it.
This year, Jared, we fight back.
No.
This year we take the ship. Not the championship, but like maybe a small vessel off the coast.
Fourth place.
All right. Thank you, Dallas. Thank you.
You know what the Andrew McCutcheon thing reminds me of? When producers run out of ideas and they just bring back a sitcom, like we're going to remake this sitcom with all the, the old characters and stuff like that. It's like, let's bring back us. We don't have anything else going on here.
Yeah. It's like Saved by the Bell, but they're all 45.
Yeah.
Well, it's when they're like, you know what? Let's get the marketing department in here. What's some giveaways that are going to move the needle. And they're like, hey, Kutch Bobbles. Let's get that rolling again. Yeah.
Got Rich Hill. So. That'll be fun.
The NL East is over.
Rich Hill's 43 years old.
Yeah.
Yo, fun fact on O'Neal Cruz though. Baseball Savant lists maximum exit velocity, and his was 122.4 last year. The next closest player was 119.8, and that was Stanton. So he basically made Stanton look like a puss.
He hits balls that either like they go through things. Like it looks like they go through, like that ball's going to go through a wall. It's not going to stop at the wall. Like, that like that was shot out of a fucking cannon. This dude hits balls too hard at times. Too hard.
I got a take that's going to make Jared mad.
That's true. Okay.
He's a freak.
This is the easiest division call in the sport. It's the Cardinals.
No, I picked the Cardinals.
No, oh, you did? Okay. I think it's the easiest call in the sport. I think this is the easiest division to pick. I just don't see how the Brewers offense sustains.
No, I mean, Jayhay, without going back and looking at it, I believe looking at the odds, are the Cardinals the only division team to be laying?
Why did I think that we were doing the East? We were doing the Central that whole time.
No, Astros do too. It looks like.
Oh, do the Astros? Okay. All right. So the Astros and the Cardinals then are the only two teams. Wow. Yeah. That's crazy.
The St. Louis Cardinals, I don't even think that their over under for wins is like 88.5.
Really?
So you might have a division without a 90-game winner.
Ooh,
potentially.
It's tempting, huh? They got a lineup.
What, to take the over?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would ultimately land on taking the over on 88.5, but like
absolutely.
even if you're on the lower,
if that's it, I'm taking the over on the W's for sure. And the Cards of the division wrap. Book that.
I'm excited to watch Jordan Walker.
Yes, congratulations to J-Dub.
That's a fun element to this offense that I think has been lacking in previous years. Like Goldschmidt and Arenado are, to me, great players that I don't necessarily I'm not obsessed with watching offensively, aesthetically, but Jordan Walker, I think, adds a fun element to this team that has not existed in previous years.
Damn.
I love watching Nolan because the guy fucking lifts his back foot up. Like, I just love, he's just happy feet in the box.
Yeah.
I love it.
Jordan Walker's not even 21, dude.
Yeah.
No.
No one's going against the Cards in the Central.
No.
Okay. I do not have my Milwaukee Brewers making the playoffs this year.
This is a one
playoff
division, right? Or one playoff team division.
Yes.
I also think that the NL playoff landscape is fucking loaded. Like, you've got teams probably, I don't want to say throughout, but maybe throughout the wild card landscape that could be division winners in the American League somewhere. So NL is going to be stacked.
Do you feel like it's stacked, but do you feel like the NL is easy to call though, in terms of who the teams are? Because it feels like
it's really about like the 6th wild card spot.
Well, you're pulling a lot of, like, I mean, are we all in agreement that the NL East? I mean, the NL East
Hold on, before we move to the NL East, I just want to ask one question about the Central. Is it crazy? What does it say that we have gone this entire Central preview and the one team that we actually haven't talked about is the Chicago fucking Cubs?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sorry, but does it feel like I honestly, like, it feels like after 16 when they were like, all right, boys, think we're all good here. I want to thank everybody. I really appreciate it. You guys are going to go on to have great lives. We're all going to be able to come back here and celebrate this whenever we want. We're going to be legends together whenever we want here. But that's it. Wrap it up, people, and cut. But like when that happened, I felt like, I don't know. I don't know. Hasn't been that push to get back.
I'll say this. The Cubs have a lot of players with something to prove. With Bellinger, Swanson, freaking maybe the guy with the most to prove, Mr. Eric Hosmer. Looking at you, Jayhay. Wouldn't that guy would love to put up an all-star season, come on this podcast and have some words, you know?
If Eric Hosmer puts up an all-star, I got to think of something. If he puts up an all-star.
You know, say it. You were going to say what?
I don't know. I didn't know where I was going with it. I need to figure it out.
Even Magical. We all forgot about Magical. We used to talk about him, maybe. No, well. But
welcome to the family, Magical.
I think the offense is going to be hard to watch for the Cubs.
You think what'd you say? You think the rotation is going to be?
I think it's going to be competent. I think Tyon was a nice fit in terms of, like, let's get some bulk innings in here. Let's get a guy who can give us 150, 160 innings of, like, you know, slightly above average to average quality. I'm pretty high on Justin Steele and Wesneski. I think from what I've seen stuff-wise from the latter, he looks nasty. And everything about Steele's second half last year was super encouraging statistically. So I think 2 potential breakouts there. I just look at that offense and I'm like, how many above average players populate that offense? 2 of 9, maybe 3.
Yeah, who do you got there? Patty Wise,
Ian Happ.
Happ. I was going Happ and Swanson for sure, and then everybody else is kind of a question mark.
Okay,
a lot of question marks. Tough. But I will say this about the Cubs. I'm rooting for you. They'd be fun. They'd be a fun team. They'd be a fun team. They're one of my favorite teams. I've always said, come on.
Baseball's better when they're good.
Come on. Yo, I've never heard you openly root for the Cubs. That's all. I'm just a little surprised.
They're literally my favorite one of my favorite teams. So,
about the Reds' optimism. You guys know about this De La Cruz guy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
6'5", according to reference. 6'5", 200. And last year in the minors, he had 28 homers, had 47 stolen bases, hit 304, and had a 945 OPS.
Yeah. When I went
6'5", 47 stolen bases.
Wow. I went to Citi Field last summer, and that's when I saw Moustakas. And I was like, you know, who should I get excited about? that's coming up the pipeline. And that's what didn't even have to think about it. That was the first name.
Some people have him as the best prospect in the game, at least in terms of upside.
Yeah. He's cousins with Raul.
It's the rumor.
I mean, it's a great baseball family.
Raul, big digital creator.
yeah. He's just like me, where it's just like, obviously the big league career didn't work out, but he wanted to stay in baseball, so he just became a baseball content creator.
More money in content creation anyway.
Yeah. Definitely more money in content creation than playing in the minors, where De La Cruz is right now. But Raul made a banger video the other day of all of Kyle Schwarber's home runs. That one popped off. Kyle Schwarber hit a home run, and it was the World Baseball Classic Championship game. So Raul whipped up a video of he's hit a home run in the AL wildcard game, NL wildcard game, ALDS, NLDS, ALCS, NLCS, World Series, World Baseball Classic Championship game, and the Cape League Championship. But apparently he hit a home run in like the Big Ten Championship, and he probably hit a home run in his high school championship game. I don't know. But the dude just hits home runs in every single playoff series that he's ever been in his entire life. I would love to ask him about that. I'm going to try and get him on this year and ask him like tell me you hit a home run in like your like little league city series or something like that. He had to have. Like, there's no way that you just check all those boxes, but not every box.
It's in his DNA.
Yeah. Again, people are going to be like, you thought the Pirates were in the NL Central? No. I made a mistake. I thought we were doing the NL East. The NL Central, unequivocally across the board, we're going St. Louis Cardinals here. But the NL East, it's pretty close. Does the Edwin Diaz injury being out for the year, is that what decides the division?
It very well could. You're talking about 3 teams separated by what, 3 games? I haven't looked. What is it? I'm going to go back to the fucking
Fangraphs. You've got the Braves at 92 wins. You've got the Mets at 89 wins, and the Phillies at 84 wins. That's why I don't think any of that is for real. I think all those teams are notably better than what Fangraphs has them projected at.
Well, they can't all
agree with you,
win
except for the
100.
Phillies.
Really?
You agree with that, except for the Phillies? You think? I mean, you think the Phillies will be better?
I think the Phillies are. I think the goal for the Phillies is to keep their head above water in terms of the playoff picture by the time Harper gets back. Because I think with the Hoskins thing and Harper out, like, you've gutted the middle of their lineup, and I just think we have to. They made the World Series last year, and that was awesome. But like, they were the 3rd best team in the division for the 162, right? And they've lost 2 of their 4 most important hitters, their most important one, and wherever we want to put Hoskins. I think the Phillies are going to make the playoffs. I just think it's going to be a real battle to get there, and I do think they're a mid-80s win team.
I mean, do we think, okay, well, if that's the case, because this is how I was going to frame it, is do the Phillies win the Central if they're in the Central?
Yeah. Maybe. I think it would be within 2 games.
I would take them ahead of the Brewers.
Would you take the Phillies ahead of the Dodgers?
No.
Not taking the Phillies ahead of the Padres either.
No.
So, I mean, that's going to be, man. That's going to be a fight.
I think people are probably thinking back on the Phillies where they obviously did not perform well over the first month and a half of the season. But if you extrapolate from like Girardi getting shit canned towards that's got to be what, like a 650 winning percentage? Like they were fucking nails the rest of the way.
Well, look, you've got, I mean,
they win.
You got who you're taking the Padres and the Dodgers out of the West.
Mm-hmm.
So Padres, Dodgers out of the West.
Mm-hmm.
Braves, Mets, and Phillies.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
To answer Jared's question, their win percentage in the regular season under Rob Thompson extrapolated over 162 games would be 95 wins.
Thank you. I'm not saying they're going to win 95 games, but I am saying that they're much better than what we remember them to be during last year's regular season. Yeah.
I think that's true. I'm
Because-
just concerned about what they don't have right now to start the season.
For sure.
I think
And
if we were talking about them as having Harper and Hoskins, I think we would be talking about them as threats to win the division.
And the reason that I asked all those questions about those teams is because the Giants and the Phillies.
But they also didn't have Harper for a lot of that run
That's true.
where they
That's true.
got red hot. And Hoskins, I think when we look back on his 2022 season, his biggest moments were in the playoffs,
Awesome.
which I'm not saying that, they're going to get him back at any point this year.
Well, I
Maybe
mean, we
they
could go
don't,
back-
but they have plenty of time to find a replacement for him.
But what? Okay, so if we're going to go that route, I'm not saying I have no idea what this is going to look like. But what did Rhys Hoskins' performance look like during the downtime of Harper? Because now you have to then think about where
have to
that
go there.
production would be coming from in
Yeah.
that moment without both those guys.
Do they like Bobby Dahlbeck? I mean,
part of the
Bob,
reason
Bob
why-
just got optioned to fucking Worcester today. He's got 30 homer pop. You could
What about
stick him
Rusney
over
Castillo?
at first base and figure the fuck out. Like you may be
about
able to get
Rusney?
similar production. You may be able to get similar production.
Well,
Well, I'm distracted. My fucking door's open. Ding, ding, ding. Like, just keep the fucking door open.
so the Giants, Giants, and we've hashed out the Fangraphs projection, blah, blah, blah. Giants slated to win 83 games. Philly slated to win 84. And that's
Garbage.
without Bryce Harper. That's without Rhys Hoskins.
What's
I
the
think that's
update
right.
on Bryce?
I heard All-Star break maybe before. I heard something positive, something like optimistic.
They didn't put him on the 60-day, which is the positive news that Joey's
There you
talking
go.
about,
Yeah.
I think, which
Yeah.
keeps the door open.
Which way?
Uh,
That's
yeah.
like way before All-Star break.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I got to get Joey's opinion on something though, with the NL East, because we've danced around the Braves, and I'm super interested in what Spencer Strider is going to do, because like he's a very hot pitcher from a fantasy perspective and like Cy Young voting and stuff like that. And I was just looking at what over his final 15 starts, obviously, as we all know, it was split between this rotation and relief last year, but over his final 15 starts, 84 innings pitched, 55 hits allowed, 130 strikeouts.
Mm.
130 strikeouts, 4 home runs allowed, 84 innings pitched, 55 hits. Batters hit 179 with a 500 OPS against him over that 15 start stretch. And let me tell you, that came with a 293 batting average on balls in play. So this was not some balls in play fluke bullshit. He struck out 130 fucking guys and he faced 333 batters. That's how you avoid ball and play issues, is you strike everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
What are your expectations, Joey?
I mean, the fucking sky's the limit. The guy came up and last year, he started the season last year and was like, this guy's starting? Isn't he like a bullpen guy? Like, what's going on? Like, really? We're starting Strider, and he just lit the league on fire. As a Braves fan, I keep optimism. Not optimism. I'll let it be a little measured, because we've seen Soroka come up and do that, similar things. Seeing Ian Anderson, even Yanoa, we've seen players have really good first years and regress to like not even being in the major leagues. I think Strider's better than all those guys. And, Strider's a beast. He's my favorite player on the Braves. Maybe. Favorite pitcher on the Braves, by far.
Jay, what'd you say his BABIP was during that stretch?
293.
But it's just like the fastball, for whatever reason. I don't know the spin. I don't know the axis, the pitch design. I'm not one of those guys, but it's just they don't hit. Nobody hits it.
No, it's a rider. It's a rider from Strider for sure.
Develops a third pitch.
That's the question.
if you
Does he even
developed a
need
third-
it?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean-
yeah.
Doesn't need it.
In that division, I would say yes. But what do his numbers look like, even if he has a half decent, like cutter or something like that?
Yeah, no, he'll develop a third pitch.
You know where it's going to happen too. Like Spencer Strider is going to go to the All-Star game and he's going to talk to the right guy and be like, "How do you throw? Show me how you throw this. Show me how you throw this." And didn't that happen with?
He's a very cerebral dude. Anyway.
Was that the story with Halladay and Rivera?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's the really scary thing about Strider too is he was basically a 2-pitch pitcher, but he threw a changeup just under 5% of the time last year. Batters hit 136 off that slider, or I'm sorry, off that changeup with a 47.5% whiff rate. So like, even if those numbers drop as he uses it more, like that would suggest that there is the potential for a third really good pitch lingering there.
Yeah, I mean, if he's throwing 10 of them a game, he's getting 4 swing and misses and a check swing.
That's why you call that's why yeah, I mean it's the class of the division, guys. I mean, how about this? Put it this way. Who would you rather have out of the 3? Verlander, Strider, or Scherzer? You can only have one for 2023.
Wow.
I'll go JV.
Yeah, I was probably going to roll Verlander as well.
Jared?
Wait, what are we picking?
Strider, Scherzer, or Verlander? You can only have one on your team. Boston Red Sox.
Strider. I think that one's obvious.
Yes, me too. And that's my concern with the Mets. Like, I know everyone knows I love the Mets, but like
for 1 year,
for this year,
yeah. I mean, there's injury concerns with all 3.
All 3.
But
I mean,
no, I'm factoring in JV. I'm factoring in the medal from Justin Verlander saying, "This is it, Max. You and me, we ride, baby. This is where we win our fucking championship."
Yeah, but if you're picking one guy,
like
then you're not getting the
then.
other. So that's null and void.
No, it's not null and void at all. I don't have to have Max. I'm taking the spirit of Justin Verlander. That's what I'm banking on.
I'll accept it. I accept it.
Because he's with Max.
I accept it.
I didn't know he was coming to my team. That was not a layer that I thought it was.
That's the hypothetical. You get to pick one guy.
No, it was my hypothetical, and I'm accepting Dallas's frame. All right,
dog shit.
Because the question I'm kind of asking is like, I'm looking at the Mets, and
and you would get both. That doesn't make any sense. If you could pick one guy, I'm picking Verlander because he has Scherzer. That means that you picked.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said at all. Not what I said at all. I said I'm picking Verlander because he's going to be with Max Scherzer. That's the actual very end of Max Scherzer's contribution to that, just being alive and present. And now Verlander's going to be looking at Max just visually and thinking, all right, buddy, this is where it goes down, me and you. That is what I said. Joey accepted that as the answer because it was his hypothetical.
Fuck your hypothetical.
I'm just saying, if you're a Mets fan, I'd be, injury concern is higher than it's ever been for the Mets. And that's saying a lot. If they're going to rely on these 2 guys, which they've done last year, and you saw what happened. Older guys, too scared to pitch in the WBC, fragile, pitch calm, pitch clock. Ugh, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather have Strider. I'd rather have some young bucks. That's what the Braves got.
Can we make fun of Joe for freezing? Dallas, make fun of him.
I didn't see him freeze. I was looking at something else. I didn't
freeze at all.
Oh, you didn't?
It froze on your camera because your internet sucks, dude.
Because you got shitty internet. Didn't freeze on my camera.
Nope. Nope, that's not what happened there.
Still hasn't.
I'm taking the Mets. I'm taking the Mets.
Meet the Mets. Meet the Mets.
Go ahead, explain why.
Step right up and meet the Mets. Here's why.
Bring your wife.
Sing
Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really sucking the ball.
Can I bank on that? Can I throw that out there? I feel like this rotation is going to be just fine. I feel like they're going to be just fine, and I feel like they're going to figure out answers to the bullpen question. You mean to tell me the man who baseball had to create another layer of luxury tax threshold for? You mean to tell me that guy is going to just stand idly by and watch his team get close and not do anything about it? Fuck no. Absolutely not. I'm telling you right now, if they don't have an answer for the ninth inning by the end of the month, if they haven't hashed that out by the end of April, and they're in contention come midsummer, which they should be, they will have already acquired somebody or will clearly be making a move too, if that seems to be a glaring issue for them. If that is what is preventing them from running away in their mind, that gets taken care of.
I got a prediction for your ass.
Please.
Fucking give it to me.
The closer they go out and import is Edwin Diaz's brother.
Ooh.
Just to do it? Obviously not.
Well, he's on a team that probably doesn't need a closer. Probably could rather have the prospect assets. Yeah, I think it would be cute. I think the Mets are aware of how cute it would be, and I'm predicting it. It's happening right here, episode 79, the Alexis Diaz prediction.
So Well, I think they're also worried about the 8th. I think they're also worried about the 7th. I think they're worried about the 6th too. I think
maybe they'll get the third Diaz.
They're gonna need a fucking school bus of Diaz's to take down the Braves. I'll tell you that much.
Jesus,
they'll get Yandy.
Joe.
Diaz, is it?
Wow, dude. Joe, tell us about the Braves, kid. Tell the
They already know. Everyone already knows. Like, what is there to say about the fucking Braves? They always win every year. It's like 7 years in a row, dude. They have the same players like 7 years in a row. Not true, because last year they had all the new players. All the new players last year were the best players. They're all coming back this year, next year, the year after, the year after that, year after that, year after that, year after that. I don't even know. Half the Mets lineup probably won't even be alive by then, dude. It's a bunch of dinosaurs. It's dinosaurs. I mean, I respect what they've done in the league. I really do. I mean, but like, come on, you guys.
I really do.
You guys are the worst $1 billion team ever assembled. I mean, I know I'm biased, but for a team that spent this much money, like, are they really that good? They're good.
So to your point, if you do spend that money, you should be like snap your fingers, like that's the best team in baseball, and they're not. For the money spent, they are not the clear answer for is that the best team in baseball
or the division.
Like they're not even favored to win their own division for all that money spent. So it's a fair point. It's not chirping the Mets. It is a fair, objective point.
Somebody, you know what? See, and I'm going to tell you right now, if I didn't wear some of the hats that I wear, I would gladly be like not reaching out to, but I would be tweeting Steve Cohen, maybe like, hey man, I just wanted to send this your way. I don't know if you saw this, but I know how much you've invested into this product here, and as of right now, we're not really moving the needle. Like we don't have the attention of the people that I think we need the attention of. Does this bother you? Is this something we're gonna address at any point in time? I feel like he responds to things like that, not like a literal response to me, but I feel like he pays attention to things like that. That could fire him up a little, Joe. And you don't want the boys in Uncle Stevie's neighborhood to get fired.
Oh yeah, because they're freaking fraudsters, dude. He hangs around some freaking insider traders, dude. I don't respect it, but you know what? The Mets probably get a wild card. Anything can happen in the playoffs. Keep your head up, guys. Just come out. You can try.
Shout out to the Nats and Marlins who also play baseball in this division.
Yes, they do. They
Marlins got a good group.
Whatever.
So is this a resounding Braves and I'm the lone wolf Mets guy?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going Braves.
Okay.
Jayhay's
going Braves?
Yeah, I'm Braves.
Was anybody chased off of a Mets pick because of the Edwin Diaz?
Probably, yeah.
No.
I mean, like that, yeah. I think I might have been. I can't definitively say that, but what I can say.
Yes, you
No, I
were.
can't.
I'll definitively
can't.
say it for you.
No.
You fucking pussy.
No,
And
no,
we're
no.
absolutely.
It's called logic. There's
No,
a reason
no,
behind
you're
it. There's a reason
You're
behind it. I'm not afraid.
You're scared. Get a fucking dog. All right,
No.
be a fucking man and pick the fucking Mets.
I'm not picking the Mets.
Be a little bitch.
You just
You're a
want
bitch.
someone to look stupid with you.
No, I just want you to be a man.
They're not better
and
than the
use your
Braves.
head.
They're
Use
not
your
better than the
fucking
Braves.
Balls.
No. I think
That's what you Jared,
if the Mets
you don't have the balls.
if
You
the
do
Mets
not
if the
have
Mets
the
had
balls.
the balls to sign Carlos Correa despite his fucking peg leg, then yeah, I might have been with you.
Well, I mean, that's just smart business. That's smart.
No.
What do you want the guy to
They
do?
just cost themselves the division, maybe the World
Yeah.
Series, the whole deal.
No problem. Hey, Jared, here's this soup can with a hole in the bottom of it. You interested?
Mm-mm. I'm sticking with the Braves. My Atlanta Braves.
Pussy.
You should know that you're going out on a limb when you go against Jayhay. If you don't have the same pick as Jayhay, it's like you should be like, oh,
I'm fine. I'm fine with it.
okay, all right.
Dallas-
Good luck to
Dallas
your
made a
Mets.
living going against me.
Yeah,
Fade
yeah.
J, baby.
Professional fucking moron is what he is. Jesus.
Fade the kid. Fade Nuggets all day.
Yeah. Where else do we get? I think we can just do what? Like, in terms of like the rest of it, if you try to predict from here,
No,
like,
I think we just
don't
did
want.
World Series.
Yeah, I'll just do World Series matchup because,
Okay.
like, I don't want to like I think it's stupid to predict
It's a
everything
bad
else.
listen.
Yeah, because it's like you don't fucking know what those teams are going to look like. Like
Correct.
we're just assuming
there's
what
so- they
trade
could be-
deadline moves are going to be made.
And
Like all that.
Yeah.
everybody's going to have a different matchup that the listeners would need to keep in their head. I think you're right. Just do World Series matchup.
Yeah. Padres, Blue Jays.
Ooh. All right. Well, you know me, dude, that's crazy because I don't want to be that guy, but I might be that guy, man. I think Braves, of course, coming out of the NL, and how about the freaking Mariners
The Mariners in the World
make a
Series.
splash? Because I think that's an environment.
Braves, Mariners.
I think that's an environment. I think that's a franchise that's just bubbling like a
Mhm.
volcano.
Mhm.
Give them a little spark, and it can just.
Okay. Jayhay.
I'm riding with Joey in the NL.
Okay.
Going Braves. That's also a little sneak preview of some of my awards thinking for next podcast as well.
Ooh, okay.
And in the AL, I'm going to go super boring. I don't want to see this World Series matchup again, but I think it's the one we're going to get. I'm going Astros Braves.
Again.
I don't want to see it, but I think it's what we're going to get.
Okay. Dallas.
I would like to see Padres Astros. I also think it's going to be Braves Astros.
Wow. I called
I
Dallas
just-
out on going against me, and he sidled right up.
No, as soon as you said it, because I just think I think at the end of the day, those are two teams who, as it stands right now, are in the best spot. If all things remained equal for everybody all season long, I think those are still the two teams that have the best chance to return and do damage.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Some interesting matchups. A lot of us want to see the Padres there. Some of us had the balls to put them there. But a rematch could be in the cards. A lot of chalk. A lot of spineless chalk in these predictions. Not everyone had the balls to really put themselves out there. Again, we're not naming any names.
When it came to division leading.
No. You absolutely just tarnished your credibility for the next 5 years.
Not at all.
Do we have anything else that we'd like to add here? Okay.
No.
I think we might have a special. We were supposed to have a special guest last week. Didn't happen. But on the Wednesday episode, the little birdie said that there might be someone popping by.
We'll all be here.
So he's got a pretty big following too. Like a big one.
Outstanding. Are they coming?
Maybe. The next episode, we're going to do our awards predictions. And it is opening day eve that we'll be recording that. I'm assuming it's probably going to drop on the morning of opening day. Very exciting times here in the baseball world. Anybody? Final thoughts? Anyone?
No. Yeah. The Reese Hoskins things it
Sucks.
Absolutely sucks.
Yeah, that does suck. Especially because it's contract year for him too.
Yeah.
My voice is going because YP made me record literally 8 hours of podcast last night. Like, came here to do episode 1 of his new podcast. And he's like, all right, you're going to interview me. I was like, what? And I'm not exaggerating. We were in the process of recording this episode for 5.5 hours last night. 5.5 hours. I was like, bro.
And it's good because both of you are really good at just, stopping and winding that down.
I multiple times was like, we need to land the plane. Like I tapped out. I was like, it was like getting a tattoo. I was like, I need a break. And then after that, we did an episode where he interviewed me for another 2 hours. I went to bed at like fucking 4:00 in the morning last night. We started recording at 7 p.m. I'm not exaggerating any of this.
I mean, neither one of you are even remotely that interesting.
That's exactly what I said. I was like, no one is this interesting. I was like, bro, Tom Brady's not this interesting where you need to do a 5-hour sit down of your life story.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait. Can't wait for that.
Yeah. He's like, oh, bro, I'm going to chop it down to like 2 hours. Like, then why were we sitting here for the other 3.5?
It's quality time management.
Jake's takes.
I got Padres Sox in the World Series.
Oh, okay.
Oh, little limb out on a limb.
Okay.
Wow. All right. Is that it? Is that all we got?
Yeah, we'll be back on Wednesday with the rest of the predictions, award seasons, and maybe a special guest. I don't want to promise it to you because I feel like anytime that I promise it, it just doesn't happen. But that's on them. That's not on me. So
Jared can't keep a promise. You heard that here.
Nope. We'll be back on Wednesday. We'll see you then.
Meow.